Oh, right. But it slightly surprised me. I think I'll just double check that. It's coming up on the records.
Wow.
Yep, it is. It's showing us his best bowling in an innings.
Okay. Well, I don't think James Vince is going to hang around here with 3 men around the bat. I think we'll see a few attacking shots from him. Leg slip, which you expect with Harmer, especially at this stage of the game. Slip and short leg, and that man that's just behind square, saving one. That's in a great position for a catch, as we've just seen from Fletcher Middleton. Harmer bowls. Immediately Vince is sweeping along the ground. Gone to Porter, but they'll pick up one. Porter's sort of deep-ish, but sometimes you think he's saving one. On that occasion, he might be just a couple of paces too deep. And Gubbins set off very quickly. Comfortable single. I spoke to Nick Gubbins this morning, actually, about facing Simon Harmer, because he was out very early, caught at gully yesterday.
Yes.
He was just saying, as I'll come to that in a minute, as Harmer bowls, goes for a reverse sweep there into the ground, fielded by Alistair Cook at slip. He was just saying that actually facing Harmer in these situations is you've got to take the fear of getting out actually out of the equation. Just totally take it out of your head. And he said then, you know, whatever happens, happens, but obviously you've still got to play with some skill. Oh, it's a leading edge, and that's going to be caught extra cover. Well, that was flighted there by Simon Harmer, and Gubbins close to the face of the bat there, trying to work it on the leg side, which you shouldn't really be doing, and the ball just looped up in the air. Simple catch at extra cover, and Gubbins has gone early to Simon Harmer again, but he did make 9 before this time. But that's not an area you should be looking to hit Harmer if you're a left-hander, and Gubbins has paid the price.
No, it's slightly predictable again. Like Middleton, obviously got out early to Harmer in the first innings. I think that's a really big wicket, because he's been in such great form this season. And it's at the moment looking as though Essex is going to be able to continue this winning run at Chelmsford, which started at the beginning of June. And they've been, well, unbeatable here, and they've won every game, as we say. So a chance to stretch that record. I think it'll be to 7 games if they were to win this. And they're in a pretty good position now. 26 for 3. And an awful lot for Hampshire to do. Nicely judged declaration.
There's just been an announcement there about how many wickets he's taken, and I don't quite know what that was.
Well, that, I reckon, is with 59 for the season with those 2. So his figures of 2 for 7.
I'm not sure they'd announced 59 wickets.
No, so there's something as 57 going into this innings. But
try and find that
we'll
out.
see what the significant, somebody who managed to hear that to let us know. It's always a big landmark, the 59 wicket mark. Obviously, slip on a leg, slip on a short leg, and a short mid wicket. And well, Vince, wasn't a lot he has to do now, but he'll have been joined by Tom Prest.
Century maker in the first innings, out this morning. That's played and dabbed out on the offside, and he's off the mark straight away.
Yeah, he won't be charging down that wicket to Harmer too quickly in this situation. Hampshire are going to have to just reassess what they want to do now. There's still a long way to go. A minimum of 50 overs. Prest and Vince a run apiece, 27 for 3. And, well, 240 to win, but one imagines once this partnership is broken, then that will certainly be the end of any thoughts of that. But it's a long time to survive, of course, with Harmer probably bowling half of those overs. So Essex have had a pretty good day. They say you could see why Hampshire wanted to extend their first innings for as long as possible, and that didn't obviously work out for them this morning, just adding 12. And then Essex, one way and another, because they lost quite a few wickets, but they got where they wanted to be to set up the target. And here is Cook from the Hayes close end, bowls outside the off stump and left alone by Prest.
Victoria's just found out for us that was Simon Harmer's 900th first-class wicket.
Oh, there we go.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you. So, yep, he's good to complete the 1,000, you would think, in fairly quick order. Just needs another, what, couple of seasons of championship games here, and it should do a trick on its own. 27 for 3. As Cook bowls again. That's just attempted cut shot by Prest, but it just rolls out towards backward point. Picked up by Paul Walter, and there's no run. So the odds at the moment are that we're going to see. I wonder if there's going to be any sort of indication of any change of plan by Surrey. It's probably a bit too late now. They're 52 without loss, trailing by 120. That game is looking like a fairly certain draw at this point, with 47 overs left at the Oval, 120 behind. And Surrey will take 8 points from the game if it is a draw. And this is Prest playing that one away between point and cover for a single. They'll consider a second, and they'll be able to get it as well as Nick Brown completes the fielding. 29 for 3, further 238 required. So Surrey will take 8 points, and Essex with a win, having got the 3 bowling points and 3 with the bat. 16 points for the win. They would take 22 points from the game, and that would make quite a big difference, cutting the deficit to 4 as Prest just covers up to a ball which just keeps a bit low from Cook. It rolls up towards mid-on, and there is no run. So David is working out pretty well for Essex. Yesterday didn't really, partly because of Prest's fine innings, but he's got to probably repeat it, or go a long way towards repeating it here. Certainly Hampshire need a period of entrenchment as this next delivery sees the right-handed Prest just get into line, play defensively back down the pitch, and there's no run. Looked very good in that first innings. So he'd previously come to light as a white ball player, but did particularly well, looked very impressive, and sort of won the approval of Tom Westley in the interview that we did at the end of yesterday's play. 2 slips and well, just about a third slip rather than a fine gully, I think we'll say, as that's a lovely delivery which beats Prest outside the off stump. Fine piece of bowling from Sam Cook. And 29 for 3, and Hampshire with a lot to do at this stage. He has 59 wickets for Harmer in the championship this season, and he's getting them at an average of 27 a time. Got the 1 10-wicket haul so far this season. You think he's fairly good odds to get a second one. 29 for 3 against probably one of his favourite opponents in Hampshire on this ground. So Preston, Vince, this is really, I'm going to say the game, but you just feel from Hampshire's point of view it is really. 3 men round the bat with a mid-wicket and a reverse sweep from James Vince. Will collect a single, just a little dab into the offside, played with no force. Prest will take the strike. So what Hampshire really desperately need here is a partnership after 3 early wickets going down. Here's Harmer again from the river end, bowled. That's just played off the back foot into the offside by Prest. We've got slip, leg slip, short leg, shortish mid-wicket, a backward square leg, a deep mid-wicket, a long on the offside. We've got a backward point, well, sort of almost wide third man on the boundary, and a mid-off. As here is a sweep, that's hit in the air. It's going between 2 fielders. As Walter, is he going to catch it? He's put it down. Well, that was a hard chance, but he's come back for the second run, has Prest. Initially, it looked like that was going between Critchley and Walter, but then we saw that Walter was getting quite close to it, got 2 hands to it, but has put it down. And Prest survives. He goes to 5, 32 for 3.
Well, I'm afraid the sweep shot is going, I'm afraid, to be the demise of a few of these players. It's very difficult to play when the ball's turning and bouncing. And, well, there's going to be some good shots, but there's going to be some awful ones as well.
You've got to be very careful with it, as Prest plays that into the hands of short leg. And I think it's very, very difficult for Hampshire from here. Harmer gets another wicket. He has 3 in the innings, 3 for 11. And it's 32 for 4. And Essex could be closing in very close to Surrey this evening.
Well, unfortunately, if you don't sweep, that's the other option, getting caught in close. And I think a lot of the players will tell you that they'd rather be caught in the deep than actually be caught close in. So it's a very difficult dilemma for these players. It is a big boundary away on the leg side, so that's not helping them. But you sweep and run the risk of getting a top edge, or you defend and you run the risk of getting caught short. Who'd be a batter in this situation?
No, I mean, it's a terrific performance this from Harmer in this second innings. Did fine in the first innings. He got 6 wickets, but it was you'd say a fairly even contest at times between bat and ball, in the sense that the Hampshire batsmen were able to score roughly about 4 and over against him. There's no sign of that at the moment. A little bit deeper into the game, and it's very much more in his favour. Liam Dawson, of course, got out playing the sweep in the first innings, so he and James Vince can't get much more experience there. But 32 for 4, and it's very, very hard to see a way back for Hampshire from here.
Oh gosh, 100%. And that's very, very. It was always going to be very difficult anyway. But Simon Harmer's just getting a little bit more bounce, and he's getting a little bit more spin as well, and that's the difference, isn't it? Going for 100 in the first inning, 6 for 149, whereas now it just looks that he's just that little bit more difficult to play.
235 to win. It's a long way away, and it's going to be Liam Dawson still with his leg slip and short leg.
He succumbed on the sweep, didn't he, first innings?
Yeah, Paul Walter is just coming up inside. Actually, I thought he was going to come up towards mid-on, but he's sort of at a deepish mid-on. He's going to sort of stay in a half and half position. And here is Harmer to bowl. And that's a nice delivery, which I think it goes into the pads of Dawson, maybe off an inside edge. There's a half appeal. But this is great stuff from Harmer. 3 for 11. And against, as I say, one of his favourite opponents on this ground, I think. As he bowls a flatter one, and that one just pops up, I think, off the top of the pad, and goes into the infield, and there's no run. Well, tremendous stuff from Simon Harmer. It was Nick Brown who took the catch at short leg, and Vince 2, Dawson no score. Hampshire 32 for 4, still needing a further 235.
Well, I have to say, it's batting out there against Harmer at the moment is probably your worst nightmare. That's probably the most difficult of situations that you're going to face as a batter this season. Very, very difficult. Difficult in the first innings, even more difficult now. Duncan Holding has messaged me on the subject of double internationals. Chris Balderston made history on the same day, playing for Leicestershire and playing for Doncaster Rovers in the Football League back in 1975. Yeah. That's Duncan in Southport, thank you.
Yes, remember him.
Yeah, is it me? I can't remember.
Yep,
It's Cook. And Vince is on the back foot, pushes that back to the bowler. Well, out of the 2 bowlers out there at the moment, you have to say that Cook is the one that you would favour facing. Just looks a bit of a lottery batting at the moment at that far end, as it was last year with the pitch. Actually, the way the pitch is doing now for Harmer, that it was literally like that's from ball go, or the word go. This has just taken a little while longer, but very difficult indeed. Cook in again. Vince comes down, plays and misses outside the off stump. Ball just leaves him off the pitch. Well, 32 for 4. I'm sure what they one stage. Oh, they were 11 for 1. I thought they might have got a few more than that, but yeah, very difficult, I'm afraid. And that 235 from here on in might as well be 535 at the moment.
Yeah, and underlines the the importance of winning the toss, I guess.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that there was a chance of Hampshire knocking Essex over for about 250.
Yeah. Cook in again to Vince. Vince forward. And that's gone up towards mid-on. Yeah, there was talk overnight that maybe the 2 teams would get together, but I think the game has just played out.
Yes.
To be honest, I don't think there's been any chance. I'd be very surprised if there has been. Essex basically got to where they probably wanted to be.
Particularly after knocking Hampshire over inside 20 minutes this morning.
That's right. Yeah, that put paid to that, I think. Very much the chat was this morning that they would wait and see how far Hampshire batted into the day. It was nowhere near enough. Vince tries to flick that away on the leg side, comes off the pad, goes down to fine leg. May turn for 2, they do. I think that's going to be signal leg buys by Nigel Long, it is. With a minimum of effort.
Well, he has played one great innings on this ground this season, James Vince, in the T20 match, but it's asking a lot in these conditions to do something similar. But,
got 100, didn't he?
Yeah, I remember. I think he was on for. He was very disappointed to get out because he was on course for about 150, wasn't he? Actually, won the game on his own inside about 45 minutes because it was over. Dawson put the icing on the cake, if I remember, in that one.
Here's Cook again. Again, Vince is walking into the shot. Nicely played through mid-wicket off a length ball. Just eased it into the gap. It doesn't quite go all the way to the rope. Vince comes back for 3 and moves on to 5. The Hampshire total onto 37 for 4. Another 230 runs needed. We are half an hour now away from the tea break, with still just over 47 overs left in the day. It'll be a long day. Well, it'll be a long evening session if Hampshire bat deep. You just think with Simon Harmer, the way things are going at the moment, that would be a fantastic effort in itself. Dawson to face Cook, which he hasn't done yet. Just faced just the 2 balls, both from Harmer. Harmer's in and bowls. Dawson works that up towards wide mid-on and will get off the mark. And Hampshire move on to 38 for 4.
Yeah,
Cook led Hill will stay on, and it'll be Victoria.
Yeah, Cook has done a good job here, hasn't he? 1 for 13 in 6 overs. You could say it's, with Umesh Yadav and Jamie Porter, none of the quicker bowlers are going to be over bowled here. It's why Essex so often only really needs 3 seamers at Chelmsford, though Paul Walter played his part when he came on for a cameo performance, got a wicket with his first ball. But this is looking like it's really going to go down to the last round of games, as Simon Harmer comes in to bowl again to Liam Dawson, who perished rather cheaply for a player of his quality in the first innings. Still that leg slip, short leg and shortish mid-wicket. He bowls, that one turned, and it's played between leg slip and short leg for a single. So he's going to adopt the policy of playing Harmer from the other end now and see how Vince can get on. Dawson will go at 39 for 4, so it goes on to 2 and Vince on 5.
For the first 3 days, wasn't it?
Bright sunshine. There is some cloud up there, but it's quite clear blue sky over most of the horizon. As Harmer bowls, that's lofted away by Vince. That's hit that away up towards long off. He's got hold of that, and James Vince decided that Hampshire have got to throw something back at Harmer here. He's played a pretty good straight drive that. He's got to the pitch of it and hit it away for 6, and it's 45 for 4. Welcome back, Victoria.
He's the key man, isn't he, James Vince?
Yeah, I got the look on his face when that 4th wicket down. He probably felt that even I can't really do this, but you never know. 45 for 4.
He can certainly make things difficult for Essex if he
yeah.
sticks around and plays like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an awful long way to go, though, 222. But I did mention to Kevin that we've both seen him play one great innings on this ground this season. And you wouldn't put anything past him. It's just the fact that it needs someone to stay with him. And obviously, he is going to take an element of risk. And as happened in the first innings, he got so far and then no further when he got to 46 and got out to Matt Critchley, which... I suppose if you want to get out to one of the spinners, you're going to probably pick, at least get out to Harmer, but he played a full shot to Matt Critchley and got caught at long off. Well, we had got to have a new ball. That was a very long hit.
I think that one's travelling down the river as we speak.
Hampshire trying to give something back, which I'm not sure they're going to move any of these close fielders out with this tactic just yet, but feeling that they've got to try and give something back here as Harmer bowls, and Vince actually plays a nice stroke. He goes onto the back foot and just plays it down towards Porter at backward square leg for a single. A very controlled shot, that. 46 for 4, Vince 12 and Dawson has 2. So a warm day. It's probably slightly cooler outside than it feels in the box, but nice to have some pleasant sunshine as Dawson bowls, and that's with Harmer bowls with an angled bat. Dawson sends it away nicely down to third man for a single. He's playing a bit more within himself than he did in the first innings, which didn't last very long, realising how critical this partnership is for Hampshire to have any hope. Still 46 long overs left though from their point of view, and that's a minimum. 47 for 4. Harmer with 3 round the bat bowls, and Vince just goes back into his crease and plays the ball down, and Rossington will just move in from behind the stumps to complete the fielding. A draw at Old Trafford between Lancashire and Notts doesn't affect things too much. It's a sweep, and it goes through. Leg slip, goes down towards the fine leg boundary and goes for 4. So that's the first sweep that's had any degree of success, I think, against Harmer. It was a good conventional sweep. It was well played. The ball, the ball was there. It wasn't one that was bouncing up at the batsman. And 50 up for Hampshire. James Vince just letting people know that he's around. He's moved along to 16, I think, with that one. And yeah, 3 to Dawson, and it's 51 for 4 Hampshire. As the tee, I think, will be fixed at 3:10, although we probably won't be quite up with the overs by then. And that's in about 25 minutes time.
I know we're standing up to shelter a bit from the sunshine,
Yes.
but it just makes it all feel a bit more exciting as well, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, certainly from an Essex point of view, it is exciting. I remember going to Northampton last year. There was nothing riding on the game. I think that was just quite a nice wind-down venue for the season. Not many people here to see what happens, but it looks like it might be a bit more tense next week. Just wondering how many Karen Nair is going to make. That's what Essex might be thinking. But of course, they've got to deal with today first.
Jamie Porter bowling from the Hayes Close end for Essex. Hampshire on at 51 for 4 as Porter is into Dawson, plays that one straight back down the pitch to the bowler. Slight round of applause around the county ground.
Looking like there's been some rain around also at Leicester. A bit of rain today, but not affecting this part of the world. But Yorkshire and Leicester's looking like a draw now, with Yorkshire 147 ahead with 6 wickets in hand. So Worcester, who will also draw against Durham, still in a very strong position.
In comes Porter to Dawson, plays that one with a straight bat. It's back to the bowler. It's a bit busy around the county ground now, maybe a few people making their way in, maybe knocked off work a little early to see the conclusion of this match.
Yeah, but it was such a nice day. Obviously it's the last day of the game, but it's always going to be an interesting day with obviously the Cook and Lawrence factors combined. Dan Lawrence played very nicely this morning.
2 dot balls so far from Jamie Porter, who is into Liam Dawson, and again that's just back down the pitch from Dawson.
No sign of a massive Surrey acceleration. Once the news of these wickets have actually gone up to 1.5 and over, but no sign of a huge acceleration. Still 109 behind in that game. No wickets down. Following on.
Jamie Porter is bounding past the umpire into Dawson. This time he is again defending into the leg side, no run.
Interesting short mid wicket in there for the one that stops. Dawson trying to hit the ball away into the onside, and if it stops as a stops on him, short mid wicket for the full stroke.
In comes Porter to Dawson. Back down the pitch again. Tidy stuff from the Essex bowler.
Still quite a lot of tension around in the relegation battle, with Middlesex and Kent both still in trouble in their current games. How Kent are in trouble on what that Taunton pitch is amazing, but they are. And both those games could have tense finishes.
Porter, final ball of the over. In he comes to Dawson, and again Dawson is defending. Up to mid-on, no run, end of the over, 54 for 1, maiden from Jamie Porter.
There is a possibility that Northants also could be relegated today, but Middlesex 234 for 7 have just lost a few wickets, and they're only 40 ahead of Warwickshire, so Warwickshire will now be quietly fancying their chances in that one. They can potentially overtake Hampshire as well, winning that, but certainly Middlesex up against it there. They've only got the 3 bonus bowling points in that game because of their first innings collapse. And Kent last I saw 200 for 8 in reply to Somerset's 404 for 4 declared, so a likely follow on there. I doubt Somerset will have time to bowl them out again, so Kent probably more likely to get the 5 points for the draw than Middlesex are. And given that Kent started 2 points behind, that is going to really close it up. Kent will probably be just ahead of Middlesex going into the last round, but we'll keep an eye on that. Sam Robson's still there, 98 not out at Lords. Here's Harmer, bowls, and that's a big hoik from Vince. It's going to be caught at deep mid wicket. Oh, it's dropped. It was a sweep, a sort of slog sweep by Vince that he didn't quite get hold of. And for all the world, it looked like that catch was going to be taken at deep mid wicket. Critchley, we thought, had it, but it spilled out of his hands as he went to ground. I don't think that's going to be vital in the context of things, but Vince isn't the man you normally want to drop. And it was that slog sweep again against Harmer, which no one is getting right. And he's just about got away with that. A drop by Critchley, a single, 52 for 4. Vince goes along to 17. Dawson has a strike. And that's just pushed it into the offside, and there's no run. We think he had it there, Victoria.
Yeah, it looked like it just spilled out of his hands as he went to ground. Stayed down for a long time afterwards because they knew how crucial that could have been.
Yes, I mean, Essex are in a very strong position, but any chance that Vince in particular offers, they're going to want to snaffle up. Here's Dawson on strike. Lots of experience out there. This pops up, I think, off the bat. We'll get confirmation of that. It goes over Brown at short leg. It wasn't a chance. It was off the bat. And again, 2 good examples in succession of danger balls from Harmer. The attempted slog sweep, this time dropped in the outfield, and then the delivery that pops, comes off the bat. On this occasion, goes over the head of short leg. Makes him so difficult to face on pitches like this, offering bounce and turn. 53 for 4. He bowls. That's floated up on the off stump. Not particularly a danger delivery because it allows Vince to come forward and play a defensive shot, and there's no run. .53 for 4. And here's Harmer again, bowls, and that's just to turn around the corner down towards short fine leg. And no run on this occasion for Vince, who stays on 17. 4 to Dawson. 53 for 4. Simon Harmer 3 for 26 and 9 in the match. Last ball of his 6th over. As he bowls again, backing away, a little bit of a risk there from Vince, but he played a fine stroke for 4 through the covers. I mean, that's a really high class shot. The ball was just a little bit back of a length. He was able to ride the turn there and hit it against the spin, just in front of square through the offside. That was a lovely piece of placement from Vince. 21 from 15 balls, and Hampshire 57 for 4 with 210 more required. Yeah, I mean, high class to put it mildly, and I don't think that drop catch is going to have any significance in the end, but they'll be even more happy, Essex, when Vince is back in the pavilion, put it that way.
Absolutely. Jamie Porter to continue from the Hayes close end. We've got that train of helmets that have been carted up from the other end by Sir Alistair Cook behind Adam Rossington with the wicket keeper gloves on. A bit of encouragement from the Essex fans, hoping to see their side with victory here at Chelmsford. In comes Porter, son just goes behind the crowds. He's into Dawson, wraps him on the pads, and it's taken off the bat. Some bat involved in that one. They take the single, 38 for 4.
Jeffrey Deans just popped in, esteemed Times journalist, and relaying a message to Kevin that I know what it is, which is why he's smiling very broadly. But we've got a couple of quite senior journalists in here with the state of the game. Quite a packed press box next door in relative terms.
In comes Jamie Porter to Vince. He just rocks backwards, hits that one through the covers. They will come back for 2 runs as, well, they'll even go for 3 as the dive comes in from Paul Walter close to the boundary.
58 for 4. And still lovely blue sky and sunshine. There is some cloud around, but the sun never seems to go behind it. And if it does, it doesn't do so for very long. Lovely final day of the season here at Chelmsford.
61 for 4. Dawson on 5. Vince on 24. Jamie Porter to bowl his third ball of the over into Dawson. Clips that one into the leg side. Fielded it deep square leg.
And if Essex win this game, Victoria, it'll make it 7 wins. And you think that 2 of them have been at tough venues, Lancashire away, Hampshire away. And of course they've enjoyed home advantage. Other than that, made the most of it. Had a few mid-season games here at Chelmsford, which was useful. Generally the weather has relented.
2 slips in as Porter is into Vince, defending that one. 62 for 4, no run.
And it's going to set up, and I say there is a little bit of an irony about Northampton being the venue for historians of Essex. And one or 2 stories associated with that game. Yeah. If 4 point, I mean, it's certainly on the, it's a possibility, isn't it?
Porter into Vince, driving through the covers. Lovely shot from James Vince, which is going to run away for 4 runs.
But I think obviously while Vince is there, Hampshire have hope, and Dawson seems to be very much in the mode of just supporting Vince. He's not going to play any really ambitious shots. Dawson is going to use his experience as a fellow spinner against Harmer as best he can, and prolong his partnership as long as they can. The target down to 201.
Put on 34 together already. Useful partnership for Hampshire as Porter is into Vince. Vince again knocks that one into the offside. It's been chased by Paul Walter. They'll come back for 2 runs. 68 for 4. Vince moves on to 30.
Key thing for Essex, they'll be thinking, right, well, Vince, eventually he's going to try that slog sweep against Harmer again, and this time we've got to make sure we catch it. I have to say, he's batting absolutely beautifully. He did in the first innings as well. It's been high-class stuff, 30 from 19 balls. That's 199 more to win, 68 for 4. At least Hampshire have got a little bit of a partnership going, which they haven't really had at any stage hitherto in the innings. But they'd be very disappointed, Essex, with Harmer potentially having 21-22 overs left not to win this game from here. I don't see any chance of this being a draw. The only chance I think the second favourite result is a Hampshire win with a miracle innings from Vince. I don't see Hampshire surviving for 43 overs, but you never know. Here's Harmer, 3 round the bat, bowls, and it's played away into the onside up towards Wesley at short mid-wicket, and there's no run. But so far he's had 1 reprieve, Vince, but he's played extremely well, and Dawson bedding in at the other end, now facing Harmer. Harmer bowls from the river end, and that's played off the back foot, just rides the bounce and plays it up to Umesh Yadav at cover. Now, one thing that Hampshire will bear in mind is in the 2 previous innings, as the ball has got older, even with Harmer, it has proved more difficult to take wickets. So they need to try and extend this innings and see if they can benefit from that. Harmer bowls, and it's just played off the back foot down towards third man, and they go through for a single. Whether it will get tougher for Harmer with the older ball here, we'll wait and see. But with the newer ball, in the 4th innings, he's looking obviously as dangerous as he ever has. 69 for 4. Leg slip has gone, interestingly. Vince almost plays on here. Lovely piece of deception from Harmer. Vince just traps it into his crease, but the leg slip has, interestingly, the slip has gone to a short third man in Cook, almost a fly slip, and leg slip has gone to much more of a short fine leg. And here Vince off the back foot plays it down to an orthodox third man and collects a single. Interesting placing that from Wesley. He's taken out 2 of the 3 really close men around the bat and just pushed them a little further back. But Vince looking as though he really means business here. He knows he's had that reprieve. As Harmer bowls, Dawson goes onto the back foot and chops it away down to the third man, who's now about halfway to the boundary. And but that is going to be a single, and the end of Harmer's over. 3 for 33 in 7. Funnily enough, the scoring rate of Harmer is roughly the same now as it was in the first innings. Now that Vince has got after him a little bit, but of course he's taking wickets with more regularity. Dawson 8 and Vince 31, 71 for 4. 42 overs minimum to go.
Yeah, sun has just gone in again here at Chelmsford, just behind the clouds. Still not too much of a breeze around. Nicer day than we've had earlier on in the week during this match. Porter will continue to bowl from the Hayes close end. And he'll be bowling to Liam Dawson, who's on 8. Porter into Dawson, plays that one with a straight back. Up to mid-on, no run.
Durham celebrating their winning of the Second Division Championship with Scott Borthwick, formerly of Surrey, 115. Ollie Robinson 52. They're sharing a big partnership, 291 for 3. That'll be a draw at New Road. They're about 20 odd behind, but Durham not letting up. Their first innings batting in particular this year has been stupendous.
71 for 4. In comes Porter to Dawson. Clips that one into the leg side. It's well stopped mid wicket by Matt Critchley.
Can Hampshire get to tea without any further loss? A lot of damage done, but it has been a theme of the 2. Well, let's discount the third innings of the match, because of course it was a slightly artificial one. But the first 2 innings, there has been a theme of recoveries from unpromising starts. Essex, I think, were 96 for 4 at one point.
2 dot balls to start Jamie Porter's over. He is into Dawson. He plays that one back down the pitch. Fielded by Porter.
So not too much to report from the Oval. They're still going along, Burns and Sibley. Got the deficit down below 100, but surely there's very little time for Surrey to adjust their game plan, having been forced to follow on by Northants, which I think was a real bonus for Essex this morning. He didn't have to worry about Northants having to agree to some artificial target, which would have worried them. But it looks like that's out of the equation.
Porter in past the umpire to Dawson, plays that one off the toes, and there's a good stop by Sam Cook at mid-on. They'll take the single, 72 for 4.
Yeah, 76 for no wicket. They are trailing by 96 with 39 overs left in the day. So that game could end early. This one might, of course, with an Essex win, but if it was to go into the last hour, it could become quite tense. I mean, it was 12 runs, the gap between the 2 sides last year.
James Vince on strike. In comes Jamie Porter, and Vince has whacked that one away into the offside, and that will go all the way for 4 runs. And there's just a bit more quiet around the county ground now, as James Vince and Liam Dawson dig in, 76 for 4.
Still got a long way to go, but if they were to add another 50, then become a little bit twitchy, but you just get the feeling that chances are going to be created by Harmer. The percentage of deliveries that Harmer's bowling that are causing problems is so high.
Porter into Dawson. He clips that one round the corner, and that's another 4 runs. And Vince, even having been dropped off the bowling of Simon Harmer, he's on to 39, 80 for 4 at the end of that Jamie Porter over.
Well, we mentioned earlier that Hampshire certainly threatened by Warwickshire at the moment for that 3rd place, and I don't think Vince trusts the Middlesex batting, so he's decided we're going to make sure we're 3rd at the end of this round. We're going to have to win this game, and he's playing in very much that style at the moment. 39 from 23 balls and 80 for 4. Hampshire just righting the ship a little bit. They really did look in terrible trouble when that 4th wicket went down. But there's so much experience out there, and a big factor is, will it become more difficult for Harmer with the older ball? Here he bowls, We're not there yet, of course, as Dawson plays off the back foot and it runs down to third man, and there is a single. 81 for Dawson, who got out cheaply, and I'm pretty sure he was annoyed with the way he got out in the first innings. He has been in good form, bat and ball in recent times, and he wants to try and play a role here. He's gone into double figures. Vince has the strike, and he gets one that pops, and it just goes past short leg. I think that was off certainly glove or high on the bat, certainly from the reaction of Nick Brown as he gets back up, but it certainly popped up a little bit. Interestingly, they've got again the slip's gone back to this sort of fly slip short third man, and there's a short fine leg as opposed to almost a deep leg slip, if you like, and it's swept and just past that fielder and goes away down towards fine leg. There's one, Jamie Porter is there. They come back for, well, they don't come back, they'll settle for that, and it's the 50 partnership from 47 balls. I think Hampshire have realised, I don't think there's a draws on the cards here. I think it's going to be Hampshire going to give it a go and see what happens, because there's only so long you can last out there against Harmer. You might as well see if you can get the runs while you're there. 3 for 35 Harmer, as he comes in to bowl. Oh, and that one just bounces as well, but Dawson plays it pretty well just from the crease. Just plays it on the bounce down to short leg. And interestingly, when Dawson comes on strike, the two close fielders behind the wicket come back to their orthodox positions at leg slip and first slip. Here's Harmer bowls and Dawson on the sweep. That's pretty well played actually, and it won't be stopped by Porter. So just a couple of examples of Hampshire getting the sweep shot right against Harmer in more recent times. It's the stroke in front of square that they certainly haven't mastered, but we've seen a couple of good conventional sweeps, and one from Liam Dawson there to go to 14 at 86 for 4. They need 181. Can they get through to tea? They've got about another 5 minutes to go. Here's Harmer to Dawson, 3 round the bat, and Dawson goes back into his crease and steers it up towards Umesh Yadav at cover, and there's no run. Remains to be seen how much bowling the Indian Test player will get during the final session, maybe rotating with Cook and Porter. I suspect we'll see a lot of Simon Harmer from this end. Harmer, 8 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 39. Dawson 14, Vince 40. Hampshire 86 for 4, require a further 181 and a minimum of 40 overs.
Gonna have a bit of spin from the Hayes close end now as Matt Critchley will join the Essex attack.
Yeah, this is to get another Harmer over in before tea, I think, in principle, Victoria. He might well get a wicket. He did in the first innings.
I was just going to say, when wickets have been required this season for Essex.
Well, I think Hampshire have decided that they spotted this ploy and they want to change all their bats and gloves and have a drink. And yes, both Vince and Dawson at the same time found that they needed to make various running repairs. They both put their, I think, yeah, Dawson's put his bat down on the ground. He's got to put his helmet back on, but they've spotted this ploy of putting Critchley on to give Harmer another over before tea. And the umpires, of course, can't really do anything about it. And Critchley just takes his, takes his glasses, and is going to be ready. Got some sunglasses on, be ready to go.
So Essex doing their bit to try and create some pressure before tea. Hampshire doing their bit to try and fend it off. Matt Critchley will bowl from the Hayes close end, and we'll watch how time is ticking up to tea. Hampshire 86 for 4. Can Essex get a breakthrough before the interval as Critchley is in to Vince? It's just turned to short leg for no run.
Classic piece of gamesmanship. You could see it coming a mile off that, but it's just part of the game. You try that ploy, we'll counter it.
Critchley to Vince. Vince into the offside, slightly uppishly. They will jog back for 2 runs as Walter does the fielding in the deep.
Yeah, it's turning into a cracking contest, isn't it? Hampshire edging their way back. 12 runs last year. Keith Barker was in there at the end.
Vince has got a bit of adjusting to do with his gloves, which is just holding things up as Critchley is into the Hampshire captain. Appeal for a catch behind the stumps. Nothing given by the umpire. I'd say I watch it back on the live stream, but the sun is shining, so I can't really see with the reflection.
Got a reasonable view, but too late now. Oh, hang on. Yes, I got a review of that, and I don't think there's anything particular. I think Rossington just having a bit of an appeal.
Critchley into Vince, straight to the covers for no run.
And that was it. That looked like a googly, and that was well bowled, and Vince adjusted pretty well.
Penultimate ball of the over from Critchley into Vince, and that one is driven up to long off for a single.
Might have to be the shoelaces trick now at 9 minutes past 3, because Critchley's going to get this ball bowled as quickly as possible.
Yeah, although Captain
Oh, it's going to be a
Wesley.
Consultation. Now Vince has decided he's got to deliver a message to Dawson saying it's 9 minutes past 3. Yep, he's done that.
Tom Wesley's taken his time as well to shine the ball for Matt Critchley. So Dawson to face the final ball of Matt Critchley's over. He is on 14. So change in the field, which
I think,
Dawson will just survey.
yeah.
Critchley into Dawson, who is down and defending. And that is the end of the over. 89 for 4, 3 from it. And off they go for tea.
Yes, and I like the way that Dawson just walked off without even bothering to look at the clock or anybody. But oh, so that was a really fascinating session, wasn't it? I mean, Essex will settle for where they are. The only blemish is the drop catch with Vince on strike, because you never know quite what that is going to lead to. I'd still say that an Essex win is favourite, but I do rank a Hampshire win as second favourite, because I don't see them lasting out. But you just see there's a potential of something remarkable from Vince. He's capable of it, and they've got it down to 178. But Essex still favourites, but Hampshire showing some good fight in that last half hour, Victoria.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear what Kevin makes of that when he is back on commentary after tea. I don't know. I feel the way that Hampshire have dug in there, that if these two can last, maybe they will stick around. Maybe they won't go.
Yeah,
on
I mean,
win.
the only way the draw would come into the equation if they get so far, then start to lose a few wickets, but they're close enough to potentially try and play the game out. And indeed, that other factor is, will it become tougher for Harmer with the older ball? Just a few signs it has been tougher for the bowlers generally with the older ball in the first 2 innings of the match. But you've got to say Essex are favourites at the moment, and it's been a thoroughly good match, and you know, it's been a good pitch as well. I think it's produced a good contest between bat and ball. So we're going to take our break, and we'll be back with you for the final session here at 3:30. Welcome back on BBC Essex, BBC Radio Solent, and online via the BBC Sport website and app. Nick Laird here with Kevin James and Victoria Polly here at the County Ground in Chelmsford for what could be a fascinating final session of the season here at Chelmsford, with Hampshire still needing 178 to win this match after the declaration shortly after lunch, but they have lost 4 wickets. However, they had the better of the half hour before tea, with James Vince with 1 reprieve, otherwise magnificent in his 43 from 30 balls, and Liam Dawson really getting his head down and playing Harmer pretty well, I thought. 14 from 28, perhaps just learning the lesson from the first innings when he got out rather cheaply for a man of his abilities. 89 for 4. Harmer has 3 for 39 and 9 in the match, and there are 39 overs minimum left, so we may have a situation where we are extending a little bit beyond Harper's 5 if the light permits. And I should mention that the weather is not as good as it was earlier. There is a bit of a build-up of cloud. Just having a look at my radar, there's no rain forecast on the BBC forecast, but just having a look at the radar, there are 1 or 2 showers dotted around, and one potentially might pass through Chelmsford in about 50 minutes. And of course it depends on what type of showers they are, because anything thundery could be have quite an impact. But at the moment we're expecting to have a decent amount of uninterrupted play, but certainly there might be 1 or 2 looks to the skies with this build-up of heavy cloud that we have at the moment. Kevin James, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'd rather be Essex in this situation, but you never know. When a partnership starts forming, you always hope for the best, don't you?
Here's Harmer. He's going to bowl the first ball after tea to Vince, and the slip and a short leg in, and that's played defensively back down the pitch. So as was the case before tea with Harmer to Vince, Tom Westley has stationed a short third man and a short fine leg, as opposed to a first slip and a leg slip. And this one is played by Vince. It goes out towards Yadav at mid-off. He throws up the stumps because that could have been quite tight actually. It's quite a tight single from Vince, but it's home comfortably enough. The throw misses. A nice backing up to make sure there's no chance of any overthrows. 177 for Hampshire to get to win this game. And Essex, if they were to win and Surrey were to draw, which looks pretty certain, with the opening pair still together, following on against Northants, we think they're going to close to 4 points at the top with a victory. It's played defensively from the crease by Dawson, and there is no run. So a lot riding on proceedings here. And I say the weather could just have a little bit of a say later on. Dawson just tucks that away past the short leg along the ground. Westley moves across from mid-wicket and completes the fielding. So if you go to the cricket page on the BBC Sport website, County Cricket, you'll see an invitation to pick your county team of the season. It's Harmer bowls, and he's played defensively up to short leg. He's always in contention for that every season, of course, Simon Harmer. Whether he finally gets into the 11 or not, we'll wait and see. Harmer again bowls, and Vince will just make a late adjustment and just play this down into the ground, and it goes on the bounce to Brown at short leg, and there is no run. 91 for 4, Dawson 15, Vince 44. And earlier we had a bit of a clatter of wickets at the start of the Hampshire second innings. Albert caught behind brilliantly by Rossington off Cook for 7, and then it was all Harmer. Middleton, who's never looked comfortable against Harmer in either innings, swept him and was caught by Porter at backward square for 9. Gubbins, likewise, really never comfortable against Harmer, was caught by Westley on the offside, off Harmer for 9, and pressed, picked up by Brown at short leg for 5. Harmer with 3 for 41 in 9 overs. Umesh Yadav, I was just mentioning when he might bowl, as Tom Westley looks to rotate the seamers from the Hayes close end, and we're going to get the answer to that pretty quickly. It's going to be right now, as he moves in to bowl from the Hayes close end to Liam Dawson. Good delivery first up, That was a fine piece of bowling. Beat him outside the off stump. I think he was trying to run that down to third man. But a good pacey delivery from Yadav. And it might just be that he has a bit of a say in proceedings this afternoon. He's been his swashbuckling best with the bat in both innings. Short cameo, I think it was, in the second innings, but a much longer one in the first. In his principal role, he's to the fore at the moment, coming in from the Hayes close end. He's up to the wicket and he bowls, and Dawson just comes forward and plays head over the ball up to Brown at short mid-wicket. And Hampshire know that the history of this wicket, I say, let's leave aside the third innings, which was an unusual one in many respects, but the first two innings, it did become more difficult to take wickets as the ball got older. 22nd over, 91 for 4.
Yeah, so looking at Simon Harmer now, that's 36 wickets in 3 games here against Hampshire in the Championship.
Yes, he could almost just have his stats against Hampshire and just claim those for the season, really, as Yadav bowls. Oh, and Dawson plays it past short mid-wicket for 2. It's going up towards the deep mid-wicket boundary. It will be cut off, and they'll take the second run. Nice little stroke, just slightly over-pitched. Pushed it away, 93 for 4. Dawson 17, Vince 44.
Yeah, we just saw in that in the first innings. Yadav just has this habit of bowling a little too straight.
Yeah.
And it comes a little too often, really. He just can't seem to put together 2 or 3 overs that are tight. He can obviously bowl, you can see that. 57 test matches, including the World Test Championship final this summer, but it just looks to me out of match practice a bit.
Yadav bowls, and that's cut away. Good shot from Dawson for 4. It was a little bit short. Maybe it's overcorrecting a bit there, Yadav, after the previous delivery, but that one sort of sat up roundabout off stump, and Liam Dawson, who's taken time to play himself in this innings, he didn't allow himself to do that in the first innings. He's gone to 21, Vince is 44, and well, this partnership, you just feel is everything for Hampshire. The 2 batsmen are settled, and Dawson, I think, starting to play well.
Yeah, 65 they've put on so far. It's looked a little bit of a different game while those 2 have been in. They've negotiated Harmer very well, apart from that one blip from Vince.
Sun coming out from behind cloud. It's been behind cloud since tea. Yadav bowls and Dawson comes forward and plays with head right over the ball up into the onside, and there is no run. I can tell you that Kent, with only 1 bonus point in the game, are following on against Somerset. That should be a draw because of lack of time left in the match. They've got no batting points, 1 bowling point, and it's been a bit of a sorry tale for them at Taunton in that particular match, but a lot depends for them on whether Middlesex draw or lose against Warwickshire, and that's going to be quite tight. Middlesex hanging on at the moment. Yadav bowls, and that's played away nicely by Dawson. Goes down towards a deep square leg. It's going to collect another single. So good progress by Dawson. Just looking at the way that Hampshire have been scoring, I mean, the minimum 37 overs to get 169. They've actually started to knock something off the asking rate here, Kevin, which is why I've been saying that for me the second favoured result after the Essex win is the Hampshire win, not the draw.
Well, you're right, but while these 2 are batting, I think you're right, and it does look that way, doesn't it, really? But you're asking these guys to,
yes,
get a bulk of another 169 runs before you get into the rest. Now, of course, the others can bat.
Yes.
Ben Browns, your Barkers, of course they can. And Felix Organs, but these 2 are massively experienced, and as I say, apart from that 1 shot out the deep from James Vince, he's actually batted very skillfully out there. He's high class. You need to be high class out there, but and Dawson's not far behind, but playing in a different way. So yeah, while these 2 are in, you do think, well, do you know what, there's just a chance here, but it's still an awful lot to do.
Particularly with Harmer not having a rest just yet. He may not get a rest either.
Something begins to come out again as Harmer comes in. He's got 2 men round the bat for Dawson, who flicks it away to leg slip. Was it off the bat? I'm not sure it quite carried.
Yeah, Sun just making a reappearance.
Well, there are a few clouds around, but not particularly threatening, so the sun will come in and out as we go through this session for a while. As Harmer bowls, Dawson's on the back foot. Plays it into the ground. Interesting point you made before tea about obviously the more overs that Hampshire bat here, the less chance that Harmer gets the balls to spit. There was some outrageous bounce and turn before tea, but as the ball gets a little softer, it may just turn a little slower and maybe not bounce quite as much. So That might just help a bit as well with the Hampshire batters. Here's Harmer, bowls, flighted. Dawson drives into the ground, takes the pace off the ball, goes back to Harmer. So 169 needed. 36.5 overs minimum left in the game. I don't think we're going to get any more than that, even if we have 2 spinners on. Here's Harmer bowls. Dawson sweeps, doesn't connect. Rossington half stops. Again, there's that sweep shot which you just worry a little bit. Vince has played the sweep shot as well as anybody, actually. He's played it very, very well indeed. The others have had varying success. Harmer. Oh, Dawson gets one, it keeps a little low, plays it into the ground, goes to leg slip.
Jeff Dewing watching with excitement from Lake Como and saying, come on, you Essex. So a lot of viewers everywhere on this one.
He's on a boat on Lake Como.
Yeah.
Dawson's on the back foot, steers that towards extra cover. I will give one more plug for the Hampshire End of Season Awards, which is next Saturday. I know, especially with the game situation, there'll be quite a few Hampshire listeners and watchers at the moment. Don't forget the Hampshire End of Season Awards next Saturday. I think you've got until midnight tonight to purchase a ticket. So if you're not sure, come and support the team and the Vipers. Whatever happens, it's been a good season. More success and very close success as well. For both sides, so get those tickets. Go to the Hampshire Cricket website. Myself and Melissa Story comparing in the evening.
And Roy saying that I think it was me saying that the Vince drop catch at the time, because it was very early in his innings, didn't seem important. Well, he thinks that Critchley might have just dropped the championship, but I wouldn't go that far at the moment. I think at the time there were so many wickets going down. You felt like Harmer was going to create another chance 2 minutes later, didn't you?
Did,
but
yeah.
98 for 4. But I did say that you don't want to spurn too many chances that James Vince offers as he drives your dab up to mid-off and there's no run. And I think Hampshire or Essex will be very keen to take the next one that comes along as and when it is.
Definitely. Sorry, was that your man from Lake Como?
No, it's
Oh,
a
was somebody
different
else? Sorry.
emailer.
I thought I butted in there, sorry.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's Hampshire putting up a good fight, as they did last year, of course, on a rather different sort of pitch, which was probably too bowler friendly. A slip and then a wide gap to a fine gully. That's a nice stroke by Vince, away for 2 through the covers. It just beaten the dive of short X, so they've got the 2. They'll think of a third and they're going to go for it on the throw, which I think is from Wesley out there. Really nice piece of timing and placement that by Vince. Once it got past Critchley, there's a lot of ground out there for the fielders to cover, and he's got back for the 3 to bring up the Hampshire 100.
Didn't think that was going to happen at 32 for 4.
Yeah.
They were struggling, weren't they?
Ken Newbury, hello Ken, and you're saying that regarding the slow run rate at Surrey, could it be that the slow run scoring at the Oval is due to their obsession with the 100, and they've forgotten what cricket is all about? They've almost done it in reverse, if you like. This is a cut away by Dawson. It's a miscue. He hits it down into the ground. He wanted to try and hit that away crisply through the offside. In the end, it's just rolled out to pull water at backward point, and there's no run. Yes, they've just battened down the hatches there, Ken. They've decided that they'll take the draw, they'll risk the Essex win, they'll go into the Aegeus Bowl match and take their 4-point advantage and hope that that will do them. But it does mean that they may well have to win that game, which didn't look absolutely the case at the start of this match. Here's Dawson covering up, playing defensively, back down the pitch, and Essex will go, hopefully from their point of view, armed with a win to the venue of their 1979 championship triumph, Northampton. But there's still a bit of work to do here, and another 40 or 50 runs of this. It's 166 to win at the moment. It will start to get a bit tense. Umesh Yadav, a slip and then a big gap to a 4 slip come fine gully, as that's played by Dawson just back down the pitch, and there is no run. You just get the impression as the ball gets older, as we saw in the previous 2 innings, that you don't anticipate seamers getting wickets on this pitch, Kevin. It might happen, but you don't anticipate it.
No, I agree. It's been a good pitch for the seamers, well, to bat against the seamers on the whole. The odd one's bounced a bit and fizzed through, but generally it's been a good one.
BBC Essex, BBC Radio Silent, we're online via the BBC Sport website and app. Fascinating finish to the season at Chelmsford, and here Dawson will play crisply to mid-wicket. That was a nice stroke actually, it was well timed. He went straight to the Nick Brown, a yard either side. That was 4, it was beautifully timed. Again, it's one of those deliveries from Yadav where he just over-pitched slightly on leg stump. Dawson didn't quite manage to put that one away, but he stays on 22. Vince has 47 from 36. And Yadav 2 overs for 10, 101 for 4, 166 to get, a minimum of 35 overs.
69-run partnership unbroken so far for the 5th wicket, and they've managed to keep this run rate required well below 5, certainly below 5, which does give you half a chance if you can keep most of your wickets intact, but that's been very difficult to do, certainly until this partnership. So here's Harmer again, just the short leg in for Vince bowls. Vince leaves that one alone outside the off stump, gets wrapped on the pad. He's not playing a shot, but he's so far outside the off stump. If you watch on the live picture feed, I think you've got to knock 3 stumps in past the off stump, and it's still wouldn't have been hitting. He's a long way out there. Quite deliberate there from Vince. You can be out with LBW not playing a shot, but you've got to be in line. And well, that wasn't even close to being in line. Here comes Harmer again. It's pushing forward, gets wrapped on the pad, but he's well outside off stump. You see all 3 stumps there. Difficult for Harmer. I'm sure Harmer's going to bowl a quicker ball here, full, if Vince keeps doing that. But of course he runs the risk of getting that slightly wrong and being a full toss. But I'm sure he might try it at some point. Comes in and bowls, flighted. Vince drives up to mid-off. No run. It's been a high-class knock so far from Vince. Just that one blemish, but he got away with it. I say he swept well. That was more of a slog sweep. That wasn't actually a sweep. He's actually swept very well. Here's Harmer again. Vince is on the back foot. Again, that's one of those that I think with the newer ball we saw some outrageous bounce, and that isn't quite outrageous. It's bouncing, but not that the batters can't keep down, which Vince did there. Saw Tom Preston nudge one to short leg. Saw a couple of others that ballooned outside of stump, but we haven't quite seen that yet since tee. Vince pushes forward. They're going to take a quick single up to mid-off. Vince moves on to 48. Quick scoring as well, 48 off 41. He was quick in the first innings as well, almost a run a ball 40 there. Just shows, isn't it? The high-class players, they can play on any surface against any bowler.
Yes, it's been a fine knock from him. He played nicely in the first innings, just sort of slightly gave it away. I think it was a bit more percentage of risk in the first innings performance.
He's a bit more on the ball here. There's a lovely drive, Liam Dawson through extra cover, beautiful shot, hung out there by Harmer, and he got a good stride in there, Liam Dawson, and that is 4 runs, and that ends that over. Sees Hampshire on 106 for 4, and this partnership now is worth 74.
And of course there's no second new ball for Essex. Now that over I think is an illustration of the point that I've been trying to make. From Hampshire's point of view, the thing that might help them is the fact that it may be that Harmer gets less response as the ball gets a little bit of indication in that over. So it's a small sample, but it's just encouraging from a Hampshire point of view.
Great. I mean, the seamers look as though you can bat against them.
It could be, of course. The irony could be that this partnership could be broken by a seamer, which would really frustrate Hampshire, but it's not impossible because they're high-quality practitioners. A slip and a fine gully, and 4 saving 1. Vince tucks that away very, very neatly off his pads down towards deep backward square leg and collects another run, 49 to him. So he's gone past his first innings score.
Yeah, see, again, there's an example of Yadav. It's a let-off ball for the batters. Midland leg stump. He's throwing 2 or 3, or certainly 1 or 2 of those in and over, and it's an easy get-out shot for the batters to keep the scoreboard ticking along. There's been too many of them for me from him.
What a fascinating end to this championship season. Other issues at stake, of course, but the big one, the championship, very much alive as Dawson plays a nice stroke here for at least 2. It's being chased back by Walter towards the deep backward point boundary. He has it now. They'll consider the 3rd on the throw. They'll go for it, and that's good running. Nice stroke again, good placement from Dawson, and occasionally Yadav sort of overcorrects, and then he leaves that ball that's just allows Dawson to work it away into the offside. He's done that successfully in a couple of overs recently, hasn't he? 110 for 4, Dawson 29. Threatening partnership, which is now starting to get a little bit serious from an Essex point of view. They know how good these two players are.
78 they put on.
They need, looking at I think it's 157 to win, and that's played by Vince. He doesn't time that, and it goes just up into the covers, and it's picked up by Matt Critchley, who'll be probably thinking about that catch a little bit. I hope it, you know, a guy such as a great season, I hope that isn't sort of a lasting memory of it from his point of view, but it's looking a little bit more significant than maybe it did at the time. 110 for 4.
Yeah,
at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to worry too
No.
much. I mean, that 157 is still an awful lot.
Yeah. Also starting to eat into the overs as well. It's your daft bowls, and Vince just covers up and plays defensively into the offside, which would mean, Kevin, of course, you know, if they occupy the crease for another 10 overs and score reasonably quickly, even if they lost the odd wicket, then there starts to become a realistic possibility of, if they need to, Hampshire 6 down, looking to try and save the game. But of course, that's a dangerous thing to do again. You really want to try and force the men back, don't you, against Harmer, and create gaps, and that's what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of cricket in this game yet. A lot of overs left, a lot of runs to get.
110 for 4, 157 required, and Vince, a full shot. He's trying to play that back to where it came. It's come off a bit of a leading edge. It goes down to Walter at wide third man, and they collect a single. And that's the 50 for James Vince, a very good one as well. 45 balls, 5 fours and 1 6. The 6 actually came very early, and it was a bit of a statement of intent against Simon Harmer. And you can almost say he's not really looked back since. 111 for 4.
Yeah, that is a high-class knock in this situation. Your team 32 for 4. Harmer running riot.
You'd have still that slip and the fine gully as this is played by Dawson. The push up into the onside, wide of mid-on. Good running. That was good judgment, because it was sort of hit into an unoccupied area at sort of straight mid-wicket between two fielders. And what they're doing is just keeping the scoreboard ticking over, these two, and doing it pretty well. 155 required. Hampshire 112 for 4. We have Dawson on 30 and Vince on 50. And, well, Essex still favourites, but there's a little bit of concern around the ground now.
Well, Vince is it's just the 6th time that he's passed 50 this season, with only 100. So that's fairly unusual for him. Still averaging just under 50, which is above his career average, but I don't know, you always sometimes expect a little bit more from James Vince. He's generally batted pretty well this season, just probably hasn't quite got the runs that the way he's played this season deserves. But that is a very, very good innings here. Just that one chance on 16, but other than that, it's been a flawless knock.
Surrey latest 120 for no wicket burn, 69 Sibley 47. They followed on after they were bowled out for 185. They followed on 172 behind. They're now 52 behind, and obviously the game going on at the same time, so we're getting down in towards the last 30 odd overs. You can't see anything really other than a draw, because Surrey aren't, they're not losing wickets, and they're not scoring quickly enough to set anything up for Northants. So it looks as though Surrey are going to take 8 points from that game. The 3 they got for bowling and the 5 for the draw. They started off 18 points clear of Essex. If Essex were to draw this game, they take 11 points from it. If they were to win it, they take 22. If they were to lose it, they would take 6. 112 for 4.
Looks like we've got a ball change after 26 overs. Been a few in this game, dotted around. Dave Allen's just clarified his message from before tea, where he was talking about Simon Harmer. He says he reckons he's the only bowler in Division 1 to have bowled 400 plus overs. Over 500 he's bowled. Wow.
Yeah, that's because for so much of the time, Essex basically are a 3-man seam attack, with Walter just fitting in when he needs to, and I don't think there's any other side in the division that you probably classify as that.
Harmer to Dawson. 2 men close in on the leg side still for Dawson, who's on the back foot. Bit of puff of dust, but he doesn't explode. Dawson pushes that out towards extra cover. Another example of perhaps the ball being slightly softer. Even though there's a ball change, it should be roughly similar to the one they've changed. And Again, Harmer, I think earlier on he was getting that to bounce a lot more. Here comes Harmer again, he might still do yet. Dawson's on the back foot, hits that out towards extra cover off the back foot this time, and that will be 4 more. And that takes the total to 116 now for 4, and this partnership is now worth 84.
It's got a faint memory of a one-day game I think we both saw. It's probably going to be, it's an awful long time ago, when probably about 2005, 2006, when Kevin Peterson was with Hampshire. And I remember in that game, Hampshire were 12 for 4, and then it was a drop catch. I think Foster dropped Peterson.
Right.
And Hampshire went on to get 300 and win the game.
Oh, right. Dawson's forward gets wrapped on the pad, that's turned.
There's a battle between Shane Warne and Andy Flower, which is very high quality, as you'd imagine. But yes, that one had a significant drop catch in it. So I wonder if this is going to be the same, but it's a long way to go.
Certainly. Still 151 to be exact as Harmer bowls. Dawson's forward, that doesn't do too much out of the rough as it hits the bat.
But I say, the one thing I will say for Hampshire is that, Essex have just really dominated their opponents at the start of June on this ground, and this is the biggest contest they've had.
Harmer bowls flighted. Dawson's on the back foot, plays it late. It goes into the ground. Rossington behind the stumps picks up.
And actually, Tom Westy in his interview last night did say as much, that he recognised the quality of Hampshire. Obviously, the sides play each other very frequently, and he knew that this was likely to be a tough contest.
On their last 4 here, Essex, as Dawson plays that into the ground and on the leg side. So it started with what? A win against Somerset by 196 here. Warwickshire by 9 wickets. Kent by 7 wickets. Middlesex by 297. Huge wins. Yeah,
and that's the point. These are big wins. And managed to win at Blackpool as well. Essex and Lancashire, the away banker in the championship, because Essex always seem to win away from home, and Lancashire either win or just look the better side when they're at Chelmsford, and they did this year, actually, to be honest, in a very early season game. And of course, Essex winning what I think at the time was a crucial game for Hampshire, and the one at the Aegeus Bowl, where obviously the pitch was very bowler conducive, but it was a game probably Hampshire felt they had to win, and sort of the gamble, if you like, failed a little bit in terms of playing into Porter and Cook's hands, who played absolutely superbly. So here is the aforementioned Cook bowls, and this is played off the back foot by Vince back down the pitch, and there is no run. 116 for 4. Interest for Hampshire in terms of the final placings. Middlesex still going, 250 for 8, 56 ahead of Warwickshire. Warwickshire are still favourites surely to win that game, but they are still alive with Sam Robson 106 not out. Warwickshire just behind Hampshire in the table at the start of this round of games. So this is a pull shot from Vince, and he doesn't time it at all. An extra little bit of pace from Cook, defeated in there, and just played it down into the ground, and it ran up towards mid-wicket. But he'll be a little bit conscious of just putting the slightly short of a length delivery from Cook in case it hustles through on him. This is a really fascinating period of play now. Good fight back by Hampshire. 151 required. Vince onto the back foot, plays up into the offside, and there's no run. And of course, if Hampshire were to win, it will back up Surrey's tactics today, and they'll go in, well, 20 points ahead, and I have to suspect that's game over. But a long way to go. But it's very, very tense, and it will be certainly while this pair are together. Here's Cook again, bowls. Vince just plays from the crease, just down into the offside. There is no run. We've got, I think it's 31 overs remaining. Quite hard to see against the sun there. You might have a better view. I think it's 31, isn't it?
Yeah.
And 151 required. So the asking rate is not particularly a problem for Hampshire, certainly while Vince is there. We've got 2 slips, and Rossington standing up as Cook bowls to Vince, and Vince plays back down the pitch, and there is no run.
Yeah, it's been hovering, hasn't it, between sort of 4.6, 4.7 and 4.8. It's around 4.8 now, which is still, considering this has been a very good partnership, and Vince has been, well, it's a runnable 50 for him. It's that rate has never really come down.
Here's Cook again. Bowls. Vince turns nicely away into the onside. At least one here goes out towards deep mid wicket, who runs round a deep square leg, and they're going to come back for the second run. Just over pitching slightly Cook on the last ball, and Vince just collecting a couple of runs. 118 for 4, 149 required, and 31 overs left. So potentially we could get more than 16 in the last hour. Obviously Harmer will be bowling, but we'll wait and see on that. Dawson 34, Vince 52. The partnership continues to build. 118 for 4 Hampshire.
Yeah, 86 now unbroken for the 5th wicket. But these two still need more to do to get Hampshire a lot closer than this yet. Still those two on the leg side ready to pounce close in as Harmer bowls. Dawson's forward, well forward. Goes out on the offside.
Gary Pope says, I'm happily ensconced in the county ground after jetting into Stansted from Dubrovnik. Obviously very keen to get here for the day. You just arrived 3 hours ago. What a finish. Very pleased to be here.
Harmer bowls. Sweep shot misses Dawson. It was quite full. Sweeping the line, which is well outside off stump, but quite full to get the bat on that one.
And I think he speaks on behalf of many Essex fans by saying, nervous about Vince, needs the partnership broken. I think you speak for many Essex supporters there, Gary, at the moment.
Harmer in again, bowls, and Dawson's on the back foot, steers out to backward a point, but he's a bit closer now. I think that's Sam Cook there. Backward a point was a little deeper earlier for Harmer. Now they're up there saving one, so Dawson hasn't got a let-out shot there. Harmer turns. Bowls to Dawson again, quicker one. Dawson plays it into the ground. Quite safe and easy, that one. Again, just looking to see if Harmer will get some extravagant bounce, and hasn't for a while now. He comes in again. Bowls to Dawson. Dawson forward. Just plays that quietly away. Harmer will be expecting to, and Essex and the crowd here will be expecting to run through the Hampshire side. Hasn't quite been like that. It was for a little while when he picked up 3 of the first 4 wickets, but it's gone a bit quiet for him now, as the ground, as Dawson plays that forward. Nicely played. Good over. But these two are very experienced out there, been in many situations. They probably are just about the best two from a Hampshire point of view that you'd want out there in this situation.
Yeah, with immense experience, of course. Just a quick update then on what's going on at 4 o'clock. Obviously here we've got Hampshire bowled out for 334. Essex made a very rapid 153 for 8 declared. Alistair Cook could be his last innings at Chelmsford, 16, 45 from Wesley and 53 in 49 balls from Lawrence. Bit of a clatter of wickets later on. Kyle Abbott finishing with 4 for 63. And now Vince on the drive to Cook, plays it up towards mid-on, and there's no run. And Vince 52 and Dawson 34 have taken it up from 32 for 4. And the target is 149 runs away. And Essex needs 6 wickets. There are 30 overs, in fact just under 30 overs now after the first ball of that over. Here's Cook up to the wicket, bowls, and Vince steers into the offside, doesn't get it past cover, and there's no run. And the other headline in terms of Essex is that the Surrey Northants game is looking a certain draw, with Surrey following on 139 for no wicket, 33 behind. So attention very much switching here now, I think. What will the result be? Rossington standing up, Cook at slip, Harmer at second slip, much wide, really a third slip actually, as there's a shot from Vince which is on the bounce, slightly uppish initially, but goes up towards mid-off, and there's no run. They're keeping it tight here, Essex. They've got a couple of tight overs just to restrict the runs, hoping that by doing so that will produce the mistake, 118 for 4.
Yeah, it's gone over 5, the run rate required now. Probably the first time this innings.
Looking to try to keep things as quiet as possible to create the pressure that might just result in the full shot. Cook bowls. That's run down by Vince. There's a get out for him there. They've got one. They consider a second, which is going to be quite tight. The throw comes in from Walter. It's over the stumps, but well run by Vince. And they get back for 2. He goes to 54, 120 for 4. 147.
88 run partnership. Now for this 5th wicket.
End of this over. Bring Victoria in to join you for the next half hour, Kevin, and it remains very absorbing.
It's very good when it stays like this.
As Cook up to the wicket, bowls and run down by Vince for a single to the wide third man. Yes, Essex declared at 153 for 8. Alistair Cook in what might be his final innings for Essex at Chelmsford, making 16, and Dan Lawrence in what was definitely 53 from 49 balls. It set up a run chase with Hampshire with a difficult target, 267, and they were really struggling at one point of 32 for 4, with Simon Harmer with a relatively new ball running riot with 3 wickets. But since then, an excellent partnership between James Vince and Liam Dawson, which is starting to turn things round for Hampshire. The partnership has so far added 89 for the 5th wicket, and at this stage Hampshire require a further 149. The game at the Oval is almost certainly going to be a draw, so it all really depends on what happens here. Essex with a win will go within 4 points of Surrey tonight, but there's a lot to do. Hampshire 118 for 4, need a further 149. And the last ball, I think, was just played up into the offside, and there was no run. I'll leave it with you, Kevin, if you want to go in later, and bring in Victoria Polly.
So Vince 55 off 56, Dawson 34 off 62, giving Hampshire a bit of hope here for victory. I saw one Hampshire member at tea time say, "It's not very good, is it?" I said, "Well, these two are bloody well, put on 57 at that stage. You never know." And they've carried that on since the break. Here's Harmer, bowls, Vince sweeps. Quite get it out of the middle, but it was safe enough along the ground. Gone to Jamie Porter, who was a little fine, or finer, backward of square leg, and Vince moves on to 56. So 122 for 4 means this partnership now for the 5th wicket has realised 90. So 3 men round the back there for Dawson, as has been the whole time for Simon Harmer. This is bubbling up quite nicely, Victoria.
Certainly a contest out there, isn't it?
It is at the moment. You just get the feeling, though, 1 wicket will just undo very quickly the hard work that these two have done. But, well, they're going together. We can enjoy it from a Hampshire point of view. Coming round the wicket here, Harmer, to Dawson. Dawson works that away to the right of mid-wicket. That's Tom Westley, and he will pick up a single, 123 for 4. Dawson moves on to 35. Hampshire from here need another 144. Started the innings needing 267 from 59. There's Harmer bowls, Vince on the back foot. Again, just not seeing the same bounce for Harmer here, as the ball's a bit softer.
I wonder if Essex look to shake things up slightly.
Critchley, just take Harmer for a couple of overs, maybe switching him to the other end. I know this is his end, isn't it? Low full toss, which is swept away by Vince. Always paddle sweep there. So it's gone out to Porter once more. That'll bring Vince another single. Takes the Hampshire total on to 124 for 4. And we have just over 28 overs left, minimum in the game. 143 needed. Shake up, was that what you were thinking when you said shake up?
Yeah, just something a bit different.
Yeah, Harmer's not getting quite the same purchase as he's played into the ground, which I have to say from a Hampshire point of view is good news. He looked unplayable before tea with the hard ball, but since tea, he's looked normal, he's looked human. Which is something that's not always said when he's playing against Hampshire. As Dawson's on the back foot, keeps that down well, turns it away. Porter's sneaked up a little closer. to backward of square leg, so there was no single there. End of the over, 124 for 4. This partnership is now worth 92.
A little bit more breeze around the county ground now. I'm just going to put the jacket back on.
It's pleasant now, isn't it? 28 overs minimum, 31 gone. Having a chat out there in the middle, that's good news again, isn't it? Where several Essex players, including Wesley of course, are having a chat about where to go from here. That's very good news indeed.
Yeah, you've got the captain, Tom Wesley, Simon Harmer, the experience of Sir Alistair Cook and Nick Brown and Adam Rossington involved as well.
Have another ball change.
Dan Lawrence has had something to say too.
So we had a ball change at 112 for 4 after 26. We're now going to have another ball change at 124 for 4 after 31. So that lasted 5 overs, that ball. Ridiculous. I suppose I didn't complain too much when Hampshire were getting the ball changed. I shouldn't complain too much now when Essex are.
The umpire is in agreement and it's just looking at the selection offered by Paul Walter. There's still quite a chat going on out in the middle.
Can't be many balls left. Amount of ball changes. What do they do with the ball? Well, I suppose they go into the nets, don't they, and they use them as practice balls, but the amount of ball changes we've had in this game, I've written down every one. To be honest, it might take me a while to work out just how many there's been, but there's been an awful lot. Looks like Stephen O'Shaughnessy can't really find one that's too comparable. I just hope from a Hampshire point of view he errs on the side of caution and goes for one that's a little softer. Don't think he will though, I don't think he has much choice. So the ball is changed. Harmer, I'm sure, is just looking for something that will give him some extra bounce.
Now the umpire is happy, the captain Tom Wesley is happy, and Sam Cook is waiting at the Hayes close end.
I suppose change of ball, we always try and do that for change of luck, change of something. Maybe the ball might just move off the seam where the other one wouldn't.
Maybe
Always hoping.
Maybe a bit of Stuart Broad changing around the bails.
That's right, yes.
Anything.
You do, yeah.
I think we heard from earlier someone who'd put their lucky hat on. I don't know whether they've still got it on, but if you haven't, put it on now. Sam Cook to bowl from the Hayes close end into James Vince. Just knocks it into the offside for no run.
Seemed to behave just like the ball before did. That's good news. It's I've been saying for quite a while that for the seamers generally the ball's coming on quite nicely. There's a little bit of bounce which makes it difficult to hit through the line all the time, but generally the batters haven't really throughout the game had too many problems against the seamers.
124 for 4. In comes Cook to Vince, hit uppishly, back down the pitch.
Dangled in there, that one from Cook. I mean, even the wickets that have fallen, just the one to Cook, and that was down the leg side. Toby Albert touching one through to Adam Rossington, took a great diving catch. But that's the only wicket that has fallen to seam in this innings.
Cook turns on his marks, makes his way in towards Vince. This time that's just hit into the leg side. No run. I can hear a dog getting excited about the goings on the pitch.
Is this a dog-friendly ground? I don't know. I don't know if a ground's dog-friendly. I don't know. They're generally allowed in.
It may well be from one of the gardens.
Oh, it might be. You're right. Yeah.
Back onto the county ground at the Hayes close end, where Sam Cook is bowling from. Vince into the offside, jogs through for the single. 125 for 5.
93 these two have put on now. Wow. Where would the Hampshire innings be without these two? Came together when it was 32 for 4. Single figure scores for Albert, Middleton, Gubbins and Prest.
Dawson is on 35 and Porter moves into him. Just uses the wrists. Just flick that one into the offside. There's no run.
The interesting scenario, Victoria, I suppose, is that these two can keep this partnership going for a while. And I think, for the game point of view, for a neutral, I think most people would want to see that. Depending on whether you're a Hampshire or Essex supporter, you'd think differently. But I think then, of course, the runs required, the rate, could make things very interesting.
Cook into Dawson. He knocks that one into the offside. It's fielded by Matt Critchley. Single taken. 126 for 4. Dawson on to 36.
Yeah, the required weight is still over 5s, which doesn't sound a lot, but last session of a game, you know, the ball is just, well, as I say, for Harmer, it just has not done as much for him since tea as it did before tea, but even so, and you just think that Hampshire then will start thinking, right, you know, we can win this game, and then maybe that's where the, you know, 1 or 2 mistakes might be made where they look to push things on. And of course that's exactly what Essex wanted. When you declare, when you make your calculations, that's exactly what you want, you know, because if players do get in, you know, you factor that in. But of course, if you do get a few wickets quickly, which they did, you still want that carrot there somewhere along the line. Try and cover yourself either way. So it could yet get very, very close as Dawson's on the back foot to Harmer, works that through mid-wicket. Again, it hasn't really bounced for Harmer. I think he'll be a little frustrated that maybe things have just calmed down for him a little bit. 127 for 4, that partnership is now worth 95. Certainly more interesting here than what's going on at the Oval, isn't it? As Vince is on the back foot, steers down the 45 on the leg side. That's a good bit of fielding, because the fielder there was running around to his left and had to quickly turn to his right. So Vince is 58 here. It was a little bit better than a runnable 50. He's just slowed down a fraction here. As Harmer bowls, that has bounced. Vince trying to turn that away, wasn't really in control of that. And Nick Brown actually at short leg had run away to the leg side, anticipating a nudge behind square, and I don't think he would have got the ball anyway, but even so, Vince wasn't in control of that one as Harmer bowls. Vince pushes forward, taking a quick single out on the offside. 128 for 4. 96 run partnership. So I know we're going to view this differently, Victoria, aren't we? Because I'm going to say, well, there's an awful lot can happen yet. Hampshire have got to play even better than they're playing to win it. But when you, of course, you're supporting the other side, you look at it differently, don't you?
Yeah.
Dawson's on the back foot and steers that hard on the leg side, but it's only a single. 129 for 4.
I would say I thought Essex would get, well, they needed to get a couple of early wickets, but knowing how Hampshire dug in that first innings and the quality in the batting lineup, I think I was always a bit more cautious about what could happen here.
Harmer bowls, Vince sweeps, and didn't really get hold of that, but the fortunate's along the ground. Goes to the man on the 45. End of the over. So we now have a minimum of 26 overs left in the day. Hampshire need another 138. With Vince on 59, Dawson on 38. Yeah, we saw Essex this morning really trying to force it, and it wasn't always that easy, was it?
No, I'm just watching the Essex players motioning towards the dressing room. A few hands in the air about, I don't know if it's because Paul Walter went off the field a couple of, last over maybe, and whether they're wanting him back out there. Sam Cook will continue from the Hayes close end. $129 for 4. Bit more cloud cover now over the county ground. Just Still lots of people to our right hand side in the Tom Pearce upper and the rear stand in front of us. A few people with their scorebooks out in front of us, keeping track of what's going on, with Liam Dawson on 38, James Mintz on 59. Paul Walter is back on the pitch. Sam Cook is into Liam Dawson. That one
Played it onto his boot.
Yeah.
Just came in a fraction.
Nip back from Sam Cook.
Accurate as ever, Sam Cook. 1 for 20 is into his 10th. Picked up that wicket of Toby Albert down the leg side. Albert out for 7.
Cook moving in past the umpire to
Shots.
Dawson, who's cracked that one away all the way for 4, past a tumbling Paul Walter for Hampshire to move on to 133 for 4.
That's a terrific shot there. Just waited for it outside the off stump. Just a beautiful shot. And that's the 100 partnership between these two. And they'll just give each other a little fist pump. Say, look, well done to us. But they know more than anybody that that job is probably only half done at the moment. But there's a particularly good 100 partnership, 101.
In comes Cook to Dawson. This time it's just into the leg side where Nick Brown does the fielding. $134 to win as Cook is into Dawson. He clips that one into the leg side. They'll get at least a single. They'll come back for a quick second as the ball comes in, and Dawson safely makes his ground as the throw from Yadav was into Rossington. 135 for 4.
103 this partnership now. My word. Are we going to see a close finish here? Well, these two are together. I think we will.
What do Essex do?
I think you're right. What you said earlier, Victoria, I think you're right. I think that there might come a time when Marmon might just have to have a couple of overs off.
As Cook is in to Dawson. He was forward to that one, just drops into the leg side, no run. I wondered if they were keen for Paul Walter to come back on to the pitch to see what he can do. He did get an important wicket in the first innings, didn't he?
Yeah, got Albert, didn't he? LBW, full delivery. Yeah, I mean, some bowlers just sometimes have that knack of just coming on and picking up a wicket quickly. Seems like Paul Walter is one of those. But yeah, Essex probably do need to just manoeuvre things around a little bit more.
135 for 4. Sam Cook is into Dawson, who is pushing that one into the offside for no run. End of the over. 135 for 4, 6 from it. Cook has bowled 10 overs, 26 runs, 1 wicket.
Yeah, he's been accurate and he's been good, there's no doubt about it, but does he look like taking a wicket? If I'm honest, no. And it looks like Paul Walter, actually, as we speak, it looks like he's doing some exercises. Looks like he will come in. You know, sometimes you just need a different change of angle, just a different trajectory. All right, he might bowl you a couple of half volleys, he might bowl you a couple of balls that aren't on the right line, but it's a different trajectory, and he might just get something else out of this pitch, might just induce the batters to do something different with the different line coming at them, going across them. And that's what you need at this situation, because at the moment, with Harmer seemingly not getting as much out of this pitch that everybody probably expected, that Essex at the moment, whilst they won't feel too threatened, I think probably would have expected Hampshire to be a few more down by now. 135 for 4, 132 needed, minimum 25 overs left in the game. Harmer's continuing, and he's starting his 16th over, 3 for 56. As Vince is forwards, wrapped on the pad, but he's well outside off stump there.
Marcus says this tempo always seems to suit Vince. He thrives when given a licence to play his shots. 5 and over still appears a big ask. I think a draw is the most likely outcome. Would that end Essex's title hopes?
Well, probably not mathematically. He's playing a missing outside the off stump there. He just about keeps his back foot behind the line as Rossington takes the stumps, takes the bails off. Looked like a bit of an arm ball there from Harmer. That's well bowled. Well, I suppose, so I think you said that if Essex win here and Surrey draw, you're about 4 points away, aren't you? So Vince gets one that turns, goes down the leg side. Probably didn't beat the leg stump by very much because he's showing all 3 stumps there. But if you guys draw and Surrey draw, then of course there is a bit more of a gap, isn't there?
Surrey the draw confirmed. Yeah.
Surrey definitely drawn. Right, that's it. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, Surrey have drawn their game against Northampton. We'll have a look at the live table a bit later. It's low full toss driven by Vince. There's no mid off, and that will be 4 runs. It's gone for the very full delivery there, and Harmer, and he's overdone it. And Vince moves on to 63. The total 139 for 4, and this partnership now is worth 107. Vince is 63 from 71. You can just suddenly hear the voices out there in the middle from Essex saying, come on lads, come on. They were running through Hampshire at 32 for 4. Vince always just gets ones that just doesn't quite play that well. It goes out on the leg side, probably inside edge onto the pad.
So Northamptonshire relegated with
Right.
the confirmation of that draw.
There we go. Here's Harmer again, bowls to Vince. Vince on the back foot, steers that out to point, and will pick up a single. 140 for 4 Hampshire at the end of that over. They need another 127 with a minimum of 24 overs left. So Northampton's gone, which I don't think many people are too surprised about. So now who goes down with them? I suppose that will go till next week, wouldn't it, really? As will maybe the top of the table. Kent, Middlesex thrashing it out between them.
So Paul Walter does come on to bowl from the Hayes close end.
Yeah, this is a good move. As I say, left arm over, going across the batter. It's a different angle altogether. And you wouldn't rule out something happening here, one way or another.
Can a change of bowling bring a change of fortune for Essex, with Hampshire 140 for 4, requiring 127 to win? 100 plus partnership now for James Vince and Liam Dawson, as in comes Walter to Vince, who just pushes that one up to mid-off for no run.
It's a good start. Nice and straight, good length. Where's that run rate from here? Yeah, it's just crept up a fraction more, 5.3.
In comes Walter for the second ball to James Vince. Clubs that one into the offside, fielded by Dan Lawrence.
What Walter will do is, because of his height, he should get just a fraction more bounce than Sam Cook. So you just never know. Might just get that one to bounce a little bit more on Vince or Dawson, which might just produce a breakthrough.
Two dot balls so far from Paul Walter into Vince, defending.
Good start, no? Nice tight line. Won't be too much in this pitch for him. Hasn't been much for the seamers at all. Abbott picked up 4 wickets this morning, but mainly because Essex were looking to get a move on with their second innings.
Walter into Vince, and he's got him. Surely there is no movement from the umpire.
What a ball that was. Where's that come from? Well, we did say that Paul Walter had the ability to produce something that we hadn't really seen from a seamer in this innings, and that was the ball. What a ball was. If you're watching the live picture feed, have a look at this. Might not get to see it on this angle, but Vince is trying to work that on the leg side, and that's fizzed through from a length. Interesting, Rossington didn't go up. Here it is. Here it is again, from behind the arm. Oh my word, that has bounced. It's bounced over the top of the stumps.
Encouraging signs then for Paul Walter in from the Hayes close end to Vince. And Vince is driving up to mid-off. He scampers through for the singles. The ball comes in. 140 for 4.
That was a ball, my word. That ball before. No wonder Walter got excited. Vince didn't look behind him actually, that, which is sometimes a giveaway whether a batter's edged it or not. But it just shows he's got the ball in him to potentially break this partnership.
Dawson is on 44. Walter comes in over the wicket, hits him on the pads, he puts him to ground. Big appeals from behind the stumps and the crowd. That he was going forward as he fell to the ground off balance. And that is the end of Walter's over. So no breakthrough with the wicket, but some decent deliveries from the tall Essex man. 141 for 4.
He actually got a bit of shape on that ball. For me, that's probably just going down. If you're watching it again, some great shape on that ball. That just looks as though it's just going down a bit. Paul Walter's got himself a bit worked up there. In fact, Tom Wesley's having to have a word with him. But he's still a little bit miffed that that hasn't been given. But there's 2 balls there that we've seen from a seam bowler in this innings that we haven't really seen. So, have to watch out. Round of applause for Paul Walter there. Actually got the ball just to move a little bit in the air. Credit to him. Here's Harmer then. They just have getting a little bit of inspiration from that previous over. A little bit of a dab sweep there from Vince. Goes out in the 45, no run. So Hampshire need 126. There are a minimum of just under 23 overs left in the game, assuming we don't get any more. That required rate is now 5.5, inching up all the time. Harmer bowls. Vince works that away comfortably enough behind square for a single. 142 for 4. 110 now this partnership is worth. Tense. Amazing how the crowd have gone quiet, Victoria, haven't they?
Yeah, I think there was a few appeals in front of us for the LBW show.
Yeah. Apart from those 2 balls that Walter bowled, but generally since
Yes.
tea, the crowd got very excited when Hampshire lost early wickets, which is quite right, quite fair enough. But you do get the sense that they think, oh, well, you never know. You never know. This might not all go Essex's way as Dawson's on the back foot, plays that into the ground. And again, I keep saying it, but he's just not getting the same bounce here, Harmer, with the slightly softer ball. And it looks a lot more comfortable playing him than it did before tea, when he picked up those 3 quick wickets. Dawson again, facing Harmer. Harmer bowls. Dawson's well forward. Goes out on the offside. So Dawson has 44, Vince 66. The next high scorer were Fletcher, Middleton and Gubbins on 9 apiece. There's Dawson, again very watchful, plays that back to the bowler. Remember, Hampshire was set 267 to win from a minimum of 59 overs. Here's Harmer again, bowls. Dawson, I think, thought about sweeping initially and in the end just placed quietly out on the offside. Harmer has completed 17 overs, 3 for 63. And Hampshire on 142 for 4. Needing another 125. Well, these 2 at the crease. Oh, I don't know. Part of me wants them just to get a move on a little bit because that rate is creeping up. But part of me thinks, do you know what? Just play the way you are. But Hampshire wouldn't mind a little win themselves here, I don't think, if they get themselves into a half-decent position. They've got to worry about what Warwickshire are doing, of course, because Warwickshire could quite easily overtake them.
Raining.
Is it raining in the Warwickshire game, I'm told by Nick, who's across every single game, isn't he? He doesn't miss a trick, Nick.
He doesn't. There's nothing Nick Gledhill doesn't know about what else is going on in the county championship. Paul Walter to continue to bowl from the Hayes close end. Some positive signs in his previous over as he is in to Vince. It's that one uppishly into the offside. That Critchley coming in to do the fielding. It's a single to the total, 143 for 4.
111 these two have put on.
I think while they are there, there's every chance. Because if they do stick around, they can start to hit out a bit. But a wicket for Essex, and I think everything changes again as Walter is in to Dawson, who's defending on the front foot for no run.
No, you're right. I agree with you. But Walter already looks a bit of a handful. 8 balls, and to me, they've been all on the money. And a couple of deliveries in the last over, which really did cause a bit of a worry.
In comes Walter to Dawson. That one's through the covers. It's been chased by Critchley as they come back for 2 runs. Dawson moves to 46, 145 for 4.
Needing another 122. Oh dear. If it gets down to about 75, I think I'll start to get really excited. At the moment, that's still a lot, especially at this late stage of the game.
Walter moves past the umpire to Dawson, fuller ball, which he just uses the wrist to work into the leg side for no run.
So somebody down at back with a point there, geeing everybody up.
The crowd is getting behind.
Yeah.
More like being at a football match
It is,
with that kind of encouragement.
I don't think it's not the walk in the park they thought it might be before
No.
tea. I think they all expected Hampshire to roll over here.
Walter into Dawson, who's pulled that one away for 4 runs. And that is his 50. 84 balls. And he's importantly built this partnership with James Vince as Hampshire look to rescue this game, but potentially even go on and win it.
Yeah, James Vince's 50 come up off 45, so Dawson a little slower, but that doesn't mean it's been any less important. This partnership has been important.
Walter into Dawson, full ball, off the toes, into the leg side, no run.
Yeah, kept a bit low, that one. So what have we got now? Minimum 21, 118 needed. Harmer continuing. He had 3 for virtually nothing. And I've got to leave you alone.
Well, you say Harmer continuing, but Matt Critchley is taking his cap off now. So I think we're going to see a bit of Matt Critchley from the River End. Nick Gledhill will join us on commentary. Sticking with spin, but just a bit of a change from Harmer, which isn't a surprise, as Essex just look to try and change things up and see if they can break this partnership between James Vince and Liam Dawson.
Yeah, it's been a tense half hour, isn't it? Because the Hampshire batsmen have been struggling to force the pace, but obviously not so much in it for the Essex bowlers with the older ball. And this is interesting because Harmer's been given a break. It's going to be Matt Critchley from the River End. So just to confirm that Surrey and Northants is a draw. Surrey take 8 points. Also, result just coming through. Somerset have drawn with Kent. Somerset very much had the whip hands throughout that game and played it was possible. Critchley bowls, and that's off the back foot and played away for a single up towards long off. The Hampshire 150 is up, need a further 117. Now, we mentioned the rain at Lord's, and I'm just having a look at the radar. This is heavy rain that they've got at Lord's. There are puddles of standing water forming. The weather system that's bringing that, I can see very heavy cloud away over the Hayes Close end and the away beyond the pavilion. Oh, that's it, and it's dropped! That slip! It popped, and the move to bring Critchley on looked like it was paid off because the ball bounced, a superb delivery, and it was edged, and it's been put down by Alistair Cook at first slip. Goodness me, what a moment that could be. Superb delivery from Critchley, a delivery that brought the full shot, and that steered down off the very following ball for 4 down to the backward point boundary. But it was a lovely piece of bowling. It popped, and it was just a magnificent piece of leg spin bowling, and he got the edge, did Dawson. It was dropped by Cook, and he's put the next ball away through backward point for 4. 154 for 4. What a dramatic moment.
Took everyone by surprise there, I think, as it just popped up in the air.
Critchley bowls, and that's just played away along the ground for a single out towards deep mid wicket. Wow, 155 for 4, 112 needed. So those pictures from Lord's tell a story. It might be the Middlesex are going to escape in that game. Northants are relegated because they can actually get level with points on Middlesex, but Middlesex have got 2 more wins, and that's the first tiebreaker. That's why Northants are down. That one pitches wide and goes wider still. I think it's even gathered in by Alistair Cook in the end. But it's an interesting over this from Critchley. He certainly is going to be worth exploring. But look at that cloud away over the executive boxes. That looks very threatening. That's the northern end of the weather system at Lord's. It's just showers mainly, but there's one that I think, as that one's played defensively to Brown at short leg. Looking at my radar, that there is rain scheduled for about 10 past 5. But looking at that, there must be rain in those clouds, and it could arrive before then. And if it does, I think that's it. Because if it's anything like what they've got at Lord's, that'll be it. 155 for 4. Superb over from Critchley, 2 overs for 9. Dawson 55, Vince 68, 112 to win, 155 for 4. A minimum of 20 overs left, but of course the light might deteriorate.
And that's a 123 run partnership now for Liam Dawson and James Vince. And that's 2 drops while these two have been at the crease. And if Essex can't find a breakthrough soon, you'll start to look back on those opportunities that they had to.
Lovely piece of bowling, wasn't it, from Critchley? Got a bit extra bounce. It's been eluding Harmer recently. And the introduction of Walter has been good. Essex not getting any luck, but they had a chance there and they couldn't take advantage of it. Middlesex are only 58 ahead. Warwickshire, a simple task to win the game after Sam Robson's 100, but Middlesex bowled out for 251.
In comes Walter over the wicket to Liam Dawson, who pulls and pulls for 4.
That was short. So that rain, funnily enough, it's how you think now from an Essex point of view. The way this is going, from an Essex point of view, you might even think, well, you'd almost take the draw and actually get a few points back on Surrey, because actually Essex would take 3 more points from the game and Surrey would, if they both drew, would leave the gap at 15.
As Walter is in to Dawson, knocks that one into the offside for a single.
Essex taking 3 batting points and 3 bowling points. Surrey with just the 3 points for bowling. If both drew, the gap would go to 15 points going into the last game. It still probably means that a draw for Surrey at the Ageas Bowl would be enough, but it's not absolutely certain, particularly if it was a low-scoring game. I wonder what Essex would take right now at 159 for 4, looking at that cloud.
Vince waits for the arrival of Walter, and he just swishes the bat into the offside. Matt Critchley doing the work in the field. Another single added to the total, 161 for 4, 106 required to win.
It came together at 32 for 4 with Harmer running riot. And Hampshire, obviously, 19 overs and 3 balls to go. At the moment, you know, even if they lost wickets, they could possibly still be able to bat out for the draw.
Walter into Dawson, hits that one into the ground and then into the covers where it's fielded by Dan Lawrence, no run.
But an hour ago, Victoria, I didn't really fancy the draw at all, but with the weather news and the fact that with the pitch, with the ball getting softer, it's not only getting more difficult to take wickets, it's actually getting more difficult to force the pace with the bat as well. And that's really been evident, I think, in the last half hour.
Yep,
Oh, Sir Alistair, says the BBC cricket page. I'll say Essex fans.
As Walter is into Dawson, he's defending that one for no run.
Well, 161 for 4. Alistair Cook stands there, hands behind his back. We don't know what decision he has made, if any, so far. But he'll be thinking about that. He'll be disappointed, of course. Came to him quickly, but he couldn't hang on.
Couple of attempts as it popped up as Walter is into Dawson. He knocks that one into the offside, thinks about the single, but will return to his crease. It's no run off the final ball of the over. 161 for 4. Dawson is on 60, Vince is on 69. The skies have darkened here at the county ground, but it is still dry.
Yeah, and it looks like all 3 games in Division 2 are going to be draws, which really leaves the situation pretty much unchanged at the top. I think there's still going to be the same gap between Worcestershire and Leicestershire as there was at the very start, but the draw not really good enough for Sussex, who've drawn their game against Derbyshire. They were 100 all out in that game, so Sussex will be in Division 2 next season, as will Northants. News that despite their tremendous performance at the Oval, the fact that game is drawn means that Northants are relegated. They have 74 points. Middlesex lose, they'll be on 98. That's a 24-point gap, but Middlesex already have 2 more wins than Northants. That's the first tiebreaker, and that's why we can say that Northants are relegated today from Division 1. Middlesex or Kent will join them. Here is Critchley bowling, and off the back foot that's hit away along the ground quite hard, but straight out to cover. Nick Brown, and there's no run. Kent have got 99 points. Middlesex, if they lose, will have 98. If they draw, they'll have 103. Here is a delivery from Critchley, which the googly, it's picked up at by Dawson at short fine leg, and it's a leg by. Look at that cloud cover. That comes this way. That's got a lot of rain in it, you feel, and the light is going to be a massive issue. In fact, it's coming over gradually. The sun is poking its way through the cloud. It's due to be here at about 10 past 5 according to my radar. It might get here before that. Here is Critchley bowling, and that's played away up towards Harmer at wide mid-on, and another single. 104 to win. 18 overs and 3 balls to go, or the arrival of that cloud. What a remarkable finish here at Chelmsford. There's a short extra cover in as that's played defensively from the crease up into the offside by James Vince. 69, 61 to Liam Dawson. What an innings it's been from him. 163 for 4 for Stanworth, 131. They need a further 104. And here's a delivery which was a good one, which beats the attempted forcing shot of Vince away into the offside. Critchley causing a few problems here. I'm sure Harmer will be back on soon, but wouldn't be surprising to see Critchley switch to the Hayes close end. 163 for 4. He bowls again. That one pops and turns, and there's an appeal for a caught behind. Lovely piece of bowling by Critchley. Fantastic over. And really the multi-dimensional nature of this player, just illustrating why he is the absolute shoo-in, surely, as Essex player of the season. And really has been an excellent spell from him. He has 3 overs for 10. Dawson 61, Vince 69, 163 for 4, as that cloud is now about to come over the sun in the next few minutes. And that's going to make it a lot more gloomy here at Chelmsford. The lights are not on at the moment. They may be very soon, Victoria.
Yes, Matt Critchley, as you mentioned, such an impressive season with the bat, and he's made a difference with the ball as well. His 2nd season with Essex, and he's really found and cemented his place as part of this side in all formats for Essex. Paul Walter to continue from the Hayes close end. Simon Harmer doing a bit of stretching, so perhaps we might see him back bowling in the very near future. 163 for 4. As Walter is into Dawson, tries to pull that one. It's over the head of Adam Rossington, and it will bounce through to the boundary.
Yep,
Caught off the top edge.
top edge, yep, brings the target down to an even 100. There's 6 wickets left. So we've had a couple of chances. The one early on, of course, the Vince offered, dropped by Matt Critchley, which at the time didn't look, because wickets looked like falling, you know, to almost every other ball, particularly as Harmer was bowling. But Vince got through that tough early period.
As Walter is into Dawson, he's missed that one, and it will be Rossington scampering to the ball to his left-hand side.
Say at the time, with you know, wickets looking like they were going to fall at any time, it didn't look as though it might be absolutely crucial, but Vince has really bedded in since then and played very, very well. Another sharp chance has just been put down by Alistair Cook.
Walter moving in past the umpire to Dawson, plays that one with the straight back to the umpire, back to the bowler even. 167 for 4.
But say this cloud cover now goes over the sun. It's coming this way, there's no doubt about that. There's simply no way it's not going to make further progress in this direction. And the lights are still not on. The light is going to deteriorate fairly quickly.
Walter moving past the umpire into Dawson. That one's wide of off stump and is left by Dawson through to Rossington. Mark's been in touch on the emails. Says Essex should have never given Hampshire the chance of a run chase. Surrey took the gamble and played for the draw. Essex should have matched it and taken to the last game.
Yes, well, say with that cloud, this could still be a draw. We wait and see.
As Walter is into Dawson, and that one is defended into the offside for no run.
Obviously, every chance is important. You never know when a chance is put down how important it might be. But what I would say is that, you know, it's quite different now from earlier on, where I think we all thought that, you know, there were chances being created, particularly by Harmer with the new ball, with the ball spitting, and he felt that the next one was going to come along in just a short while. But it become much less menace in recent times. 167
for 4 as Walter is into Dawson. Turns out we're on the corner off the toes, and that's the end of the over. Takes a single. 168 for 4. Dawson on 66, Vince on 69.
At that stage, of course, there were well over 200 runs still needed, so it's a little bit different now, but we have this extra dimension. We've got blue sky right over the ground, but we've got this very heavy rain-bearing cloud, and we know it's rain-bearing because the radar is telling us that there is certainly rain that looks like it is going to clip. It's due to arrive at 5:10. It looks like being a sharp shower, but that'll be enough to probably end things for the day. I can't see, even looking at my radar here, it's hitting Chelmsford at 5:15, 5:20. It's got to be that cloud that's up there at the minute, which is gradually making its way over, and that could be an extra thing to throw into the proceedings. As Critchley bowls, that's driven away. It's a lovely shot, beautiful timing, launched away by Dawson for 4 between cover and mid-off. Lovely piece of timing that. It could turn out, but the weather frustrates Hampshire in the end. We shall see. 95 to win, 172 for 4. Radar saying rain due to start in 24 minutes. We'll see if that's right. Wouldn't bet against it looking at that cloud. This looks very, very threatening. As Critchley bowls, and that's played defensively. No one drops a catch on purpose, and Essex generally very, very good with their outfielding. But as we rather thought, as Hampshire extended the innings into the older ball, it's become more difficult to take wickets. That's driven away, that's in the air, but safe, and goes over extra cover and goes away for the second 4 of Critchley's over. So Dawson starting to take the attack, perhaps sensing this weather coming. If Hampshire are going to win, they need to just push on a little bit. 74 to him with 2 boundaries in the over.
I think as well, now that asking rate has gone, well, now that deficit has gone under 100, there is the opportunity as well, as we were talking about earlier with Kevin, if these two stayed here, they had the chance to get a bit more aggressive as the total worked its way down.
There's 16 overs left after this one, so we might get a signal from the umpire, but I just can't see 16 overs being bowled if that cloud cover comes over, because even if it doesn't rain, it's surely going to make the light unplayable. 176 for 4. Critchley just delays coming in with a slip and a ring of 1-savers, and that's just played from the crease, just pushed up into the offside for a single. And it's been a very good over for Dawson against Critchley, but for the 3rd time in the game we've seen how it's become very difficult for the bowling side to take wickets with the older ball. We're in the 43rd over with this ball. There will be no second new ball for Essex with just 16 overs and 2 balls to go. It's floated up, nice piece of bowling, nice piece of turn, and it beats the defensive shot of Vince outside the off stump. He stays on 69. He's become a little bit becalmed, Vince, as Dawson has overtaken him. Here's Critchley again, bowls, and that's just clipped away into the onside. Possible 2, because Critchley is having to chase after it, but no, they'll settle for the 1, and this tremendous partnership continues as this big area of dark cloud has covered the sun. It's just starting to make its way over the ground, and is surely going to start to have a negative effect on the light. The lights are not yet on. 178 for 4. Dawson 75, Vince 70. Hampshire need 89 in a minimum of 16 overs. They are probably now favourites if either side are going to win, but as I say, that weather is still very much a factor.
Sam Cook will return to bowl from the Hayes close end. I think in his last spell, Kevin's words were accurate, but not entirely threatening.
Might be that Harmer comes back next over.
As Cook is into Vince, he clubs that one away into the offside. Paul Walter will trace, patrolling in the deep as they come back for 3 runs.
These two have done it wonderfully well.
So much experience at the crease for Hampshire. If you needed anyone to come in when you were 32 for 4, you want James Vince and Liam Dawson to be there steering you, and that's what they've done for Hampshire. 3 from the first ball of Sam Cook's over. He is in to Dawson, who tries to dab that one down to 3rd man, but Simon Harmer, who was in close.
Yeah.
No run.
All Essex can do is try and keep this as tight as possible and try and force the mistake. So I think Harmer might well come back at the river end.
$181 for 4. Dawson on 75. Vince on 73. Dawson having overtaken Vince as Cook is into him. And again, Dawson just trying to let that one run off the bat. Simon Harmer is down to it.
So this is the only action going on in Division 1. Every other game either rain delayed at Lords or completed. Draws at Old Trafford, at Taunton and to the Oval, of course, significantly. Surrey following on 142 for no wicket, taking 8 points from the game. Essex get 11 for a draw.
As Cook moves past the umpire into Dawson, defending, no run.
And clearly, if that rain does arrive as forecast, the draw just has to be the favoured result, because if it's anything like the pictures we've seen from Lords, and it's the same weather system, then that will be it. starts to drift across the right-hand side of the ground. A really heavy cloud.
Still plenty of people sitting out in front of us in the uncovered river stand, and Tom Pearce upper as Cook is into Dawson. He knocks that one into the offside, just jogs through for the single with Dan Lawrence chasing after it. And that is the 150 partnership from James Vince and Liam Dawson. 123 minutes, 199 balls.
Yeah, it's been an absolutely brilliant effort. So they've shown all their experience. Dawson, after rather, in fact, both these guys gave their wickets away in the first innings, and look how they've responded.
Cook into Vince, defending with a straight bat. Middle will come and collect, and that will be the end of Sam Cook's over. 4 from it, 182 for 4, and it's 85 to win for Hampshire.
Yeah, and so we've got the potential of rain. We've got at the moment Hampshire in the box seat in terms of the two sides. The required rate 5.67. Still a potential that an error can be forced to get a new man in, and that will obviously benefit Essex. As we thought, Simon Harmer is coming back on, and 15 overs minimum to go. He takes Harmer's sweater. Harmer's had a little bit of a rest. Critchley bowled well in that spell. 4 overs for 20. Just a little bit expensive in his last over as Dawson got after him. But it was worth a go. In his first couple of overs, he bowled a couple of excellent deliveries which were close to getting wickets, and of course one that brought about the drop catch at slip. But it's found it more difficult as time has gone on here to really get the ball to talk, as he was early on in proceedings. Two batsmen just getting a few running repairs, might be a change of gloves, having a consultation. They're aware of this cloud, obviously, which continues to drift across the right hand side of the ground. And it's going to be Harmer with a short leg, and then that deep slip, and a deep leg slip. It's a defensive push by Dawson, beaten outside the off stump. So 182 for 4. Bring Kevin back in just a moment as Harmer bowls, and that's just played defensively up into the onside. There's no run. Still this heavy cloud drifting across the right hand side of the ground. Light not deteriorating yet. There's still blue sky over the ground as that's played again defensively. Tight over from Harmer, just played up towards mid off. 14 overs and 3 balls to go, 85 to win, and rain forecast. 1 or 2 spectators are starting to put on extra layers down beneath us as that's played off the back foot down to short leg, and there's no run. Just on 5 o'clock, and if you're joining us at this point, the news: Surrey have drawn with Northants, take 8 points from the game. Here, after a declaration, Hampshire needs a further 85 in the remaining 14 overs and 2 balls as that's played defensively back down the pitch, and there is no run. It's raining at Lords at the moment, where Middlesex might just get out of jail against Warwickshire. Quite a heavy shower of the sort of rain that we might get here. Match drawn at Taunton between Somerset and Kent. This is driven away, nice looking drive here along the ground up towards Beard, who's on the subfielder at long on. The end of Harmer's over, but further indication that with the older ball, much more difficult for Simon Harmer to get that bounce that was causing the problems for Hampshire early on and brought about those 3 quick wickets. His figures now are very different: 3 for 63 in 18 overs, 9 wickets in the match. Hampshire 183 for 4, Dawson 77, Vince 73. We need 84 in a minimum of 14 overs, with that threat of the rain as well, Kevin.
Well, who thought that we be reaching this situation? What an exciting game we have in prospect. 84 off 14, 2 batters out there in the middle going along very nicely, playing the situation. And my word, you can't rule out any result here. In fact, if anything for me, every over that goes past, the draw is being taken out of the equation.
Yeah, it obviously depends on the weather, doesn't it? Because that will could obviously quickly finalise things.
151 these two are put on as Cook comes in from the Hayes close end. Keeper standing up. Dawson works that away behind square on the offside. Runs the first one quickly. There won't be any more than that. And Hampshire move on to 184 for 4, needing another 83. And we're into the last of the 14 overs.
Crucial bit of acceleration that from Dawson against Critchley, wasn't it? After Critchley caused quite a lot of problems in his first couple of overs.
Yep.
Took the attack to Critchley and has just knocked down that asking rate a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know Alistair Cook at all, but if it's to be his last game, it certainly won't be a day he'll remember.
No, and I suppose Critchley will feel the same way. But it's not over yet.
One slip in, that is Alistair Cook, yes. Sam Cook comes in, and that's worked down by Vince down to third. Harmer's just below us to our right, 185 for 4. This partnership now worth 153. Who would have thought that all this would happen when Tom Prest was out at 32 for 4? Harmer running right again.
That's why I honestly thought there'd be another chance just round the corner for Vince.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone looking at what was going on, there were chances being created, every over, weren't there?
There certainly were.
But they battled through it.
Vince dropped on 16, Dawson dropped on 50. And it wasn't a difficult catch by Alistair Cook when Dawson edged him to slip, and that's pushed to mid-wicket by Dawson, and there is no run. So floodlights are on here. 185 for 4. Dawson has 78. Vince has 74. Dawson's overtaken Vince, actually. I've only just noticed that. Vince 74 off 95. Dawson 78 off 116. He's faced a bit more of the bowling, actually, for another while. So 82 needed. At the moment, the live table has Surrey 20 points ahead of Essex, as Dawson works that again straight to mid-wicket. No gap there. So I would say, I would take a bet that the Surrey dressing room, the Surrey contingent, are listening, hoping that at the very best for them, Hampshire win this game. I guess they won't mind if Essex draw. I would think that the message may have got to them when Hampshire were losing wickets early on. They would have thought, oh, the worst scenario would be Essex winning the game.
4-point lead.
Yeah, probably feeling that things are a little bit different now as Cook comes in edged. No slip. And that's gone down to third. Well, Cook's at backward a point. Well, there's no guarantee he would hold on to it with his track record after tea, but even so, no slip means that that's 4 runs to Dawson, and it takes the total on to 189 for 4. This partnership now 157, and the target reduced down to 78.
Blue sky away to our left over the apartments, but that very, very threatening cloud, low cloud, which we think is rain bearing. Radar suggesting rain over the next 15 minutes, coming over the top of the pavilion and the executive boxes.
Certainly a lot cooler. Back to where we were day 3 temperature wise, or day 2, as that's driven by Dawson. Half stopped at extra cover. They'll come through for another single. That takes the Hampshire total on to 190 for 4. 77 needed at the end of that over, and we have a minimum of 13 overs. I think it's just 13 overs, isn't it now, left in the game. The crowd actually is not a bad one in front of us and to our right and left, but they've gone very quiet.
Yeah, not surprising as this tremendous partnership continues. In fact, there's no play anywhere else at the moment because all the Division 2 games have ended in draws. And we're just waiting to see if there's any further play at Lords, where Warwickshire will only need to get 58 to win if they do resume, but that looks like heavy rain at Lords, and if it hits us here, that will end things for the day. And I wonder if Essex would take that now. Harmer coming back on in that last over. Can he make an impact here to improve on his 3 for 63? He's going to bowl to Dawson with a short leg, quickly just being adjusted at long on, being moved slightly wider. As, here is a delivery which is played from the crease along the ground for a single to Critchley, giving Vince the strike. 76 to win, 191 for 4.
159 these two have put on now.
Yeah, absolutely. Superb partnership. Here is Harmer again, Bowles, and coming down the pitch here, it's Vince driving away through mid-off for 4, taking a slight gamble, but he got to the pitch of it. That was the critical thing. And he's hit it away very sweetly along the ground through mid-off for 4. And he goes along to 78. Dawson 84, 195 for 4.
72 needed. That run rate required from here on in is about 5 3/4. They haven't really let it get out of hand. It's been over 5 for quite a while.
Graham tells me that Graham Fitch tells me it's a new record partnership for the Hampshire 5th wicket against Essex, beating one set in 1920. It's played defensively back down the pitch, and the odds on that happening at 32 for 4 fairly long, I think.
Well, I wasn't even bothered looking at records like that at that stage.
Thank you, Graham, for that very useful information. 195 for 4, and this is a flatter one from Harmer, attempted sweep, but Vince makes no contact. It goes out to short leg.
Well, that's one thing Vince has done very well, especially early on, was the control of his sweep shots.
Yeah, 190 after that reprieve from the slog sweep. Here he just goes back into his crease and plays on the bounce down to short leg. Nick Brown, and there's no run.
It's the 5 runs off the over so far.
Yeah. Essex might think about how they can restrict the scoring, but it's perhaps bowling a particular line, as this is down the pitch and driven and very well stopped by Harmer, and his follow through probably saves 3 runs, just a single to Vince Sills. That was a very crisp off drive, hit that very nicely, but nice piece of fielding. Back where we started actually in Division 2 at the start of the round. Worcester led Leicester by 21 points, and they still do at the end of the round. The one difference is that Sussex are out of the equation, so it is just between Worcester and Leicester for that second promotion place, and the gap going into the last game as it was 21 points. Worcestershire obviously very, very hot favourites for that to join Durham in Division 1 next season. 196 for 4.
Just a reminder, when Hampshire started their second innings, they needed 267 from a minimum of 59 overs. They now need 71 from the last 12 overs. And this partnership has now realised 164. You would never have believed it at 32 for 4. Here's Cook from the Hayes close end. Bowls to Vince. Vince works it away in the gap square on the offside. That'll be another single. 197 for 4. Vince moves on to 80. That's off 101. Dawson next to face 84 off 120.
It's almost as if after he was reprieved by that slog sweep, Vince, he just put the shot away.
Did, didn't he?
Because he just, I just can't consider that shot for the time being against Harmer, and look for other ways to score. And that's just, I think, indicating his experience.
Toby Albert caught down the leg side off Sam Cook. Great catch by Adam Rossington. Fletcher Middleton sweeping at Harmer, caught for 9. Gubbins just turned the face of the bat and looped a ball to extra cover off Harmer as Dawson works it away on the leg side for another single. Takes the total on to 197, I think that is. Am I one behind? I am. It's 198. 166 run partnership, and Tom Prest, who just turned the ball to short leg, one that bounced from Harmer, and at 32 for 4 you thought, oh, here we go again. Here's Simon Harmer picking up wickets like he normally does, but it's all got becalmed since then, and Harmer has not got the same bounce or the same, well, I wouldn't say outrageous turn, but with the bounce has been very difficult. That seems to have gone as Cook bowls, and it's a length ball. Vince plays that quietly through square where there is a gap, and that takes the total on to 199 for 4. Hampshire need 68 here. There is a crowd, believe me. They're all there, but they are so quiet now.
Yeah,
I think they can quite believe what they see. Yeah.
11 overs to go, so it's still quite an ask.
Still tough, oh yeah, it's still tough. But not as tough as it looked before tea, that's for sure. Nowhere near it. Here's Cook again. There is a slip in there now. Dawson drives pleasantly, but it's out to deep point. Thought that had gone a little straighter initially. Dawson moves on to 86. There's a 200 up for Hampshire. It's come up in the 48th over of their second innings. And a bit of begrudging applause from the crowd in front of us, but it's been a wonderful exhibition of how to resurrect an innings under extreme pressure.
Yeah, in a time when literally, there were chances being created and balls fizzing past the off stump, that's become less and less prevalent as time has gone on.
Cooking again to Vince, length ball. Vince pushes out quietly on the onside. Cook's coming towards the end of his 13th over. Just that one wicket early on of Toby Alberts. We'll have 11 overs to bowl after this.
No one, no one should criticise Critchley or Cook too much. Think of what they've obviously Cook over a very long time, and Critchley this season, as everyone can drop catches. But obviously, the first one in particular, and even Cook's, quite significant.
Here's Cook again. Vince goes for a big one over the top. How far has that gone? I think it's gone all the way, and it has. Signalled by Stephen O'Shaughnessy at the far end. 6 runs. Vince hoisting Cook over mid-on, and that ends the over with a maximum. 11 overs to go here, and Hampshire are down to needing just 61, and Vince has moved on to 87.
It could be that Essex might need the light or the rain to intervene here, because Hampshire clearly in the box seat now in terms of if either side are going to win the game, unless something changes around very dramatically. What a partnership it has been. 206 for 4.
174 now, the 5th wicket partnership.
Yeah, and Harmer will try again, but they are going to make some gain on Surrey in this in this game if they can draw Essex, but clearly if they lose, then
it's not ideal.
Surrey will have taken a further 2-point advantage. Will go in 20 points ahead, which is a lot to drag back in the last game. Harmer bowls, and it's just played into the ground, just past Brown at short leg. It was aerial initially, but they get through for a single. Never a chance. But it's been a tremendous performance from both these, and they're both on 87 actually at the moment. Dawson collecting that single. Still this very threatening cloud, which we expect, according to the radar, to produce rain. Just hovering over the right-hand side of the ground, as that's just comes down off the open face down to short fine leg, and there's no run. Whether it will actually arrive or whether it will just cause problems with the light, we'll wait and see. Harmer bowls and backing away, which is played along the ground into a gap, which is being chased by Yadav, and they get a single. And Vince will go along to 88, and it's 208 for 4, 59 required, 10 overs and 3 balls to go. So Harmer bowling, that's cut away off the bat, but it's a glorious shot, just slightly short. And Dawson has seized on that, and it's just what a contrast it is now, playing Harmer to how it was in the first 20 overs of the innings. It's remarkable, but it just shows we were flagging up. We thought that the old ball might cause a problem for Essex. I didn't think it would be to this extent, I had to say, but quite a remarkable change. 212 for 4.
The balls like that were spitting, weren't they, early on?
Harmer bowls again, and backing away. This is played by Dawson for another single out into the offside, and I'm starting to think that really only the weather can save Essex now. It's 54 to win, 10 overs and 1 delivery left. 213 for 4. Recent flurry of scoring. It's certainly helped Hampshire, and this is just played away along the ground wide of mid-wicket. There's no run there. Certainly Vince was setting off for a single, but there wasn't one there as Wesley gathered it in.
Good call, Dawes. Oh gosh, Vince was off.
So 213 for 4. As you look to the right, it's very, very gloomy. There's still a bit of blue sky away over the left-hand side of the ground, over the apartment blocks. But there's certainly some very threatening cloud, which is due to pass over in the next few minutes, and according to the forecast, due to produce rain. And whether that will arrive or not could be critical. 213 for 4.
Well, I think Hampshire now have got themselves into a situation where they're going to have to go for it. Even if these two are parted, saying this over, I think we've got to a point now where Hampshire will just have to keep going. They're that close. And we've got a change of bowling. Matt Critchley at the Hayes close end now coming on for Sam Cook. About 13 overs, 1 for 47. But as accurate as he's bowled, and he's bowled nicely, but doesn't really look like taking a wicket. Essex need to break this partnership, which is now worth 181. 54 needed, 10 overs to go. And it's going to be Critchley who thought he had Dawson when he was on 50, only to see Alistair Cook drop, which wasn't that difficult at slip. And Alistair Cook, if this is to be his last day at Chelmsford, has not exactly had one to remember. He got 16, but it wasn't particularly fluent. He didn't look particularly happy at having to get on with scoring quickly, and a lot of balls sort of hit the pad as he was trying to flick them away on the leg side, and it wasn't a very fluent 16 at all. So 2:13 for 4. Got a bit of delay. We're finally going to get there as we've had a change of field. Short, cut away by Dawson to backward of point. I think that's only going to be one. They'll have to settle for one. And we've got a substitute fielder on there, haven't we? Backward of point, who was round very quickly indeed.
Lights have come on, which is not surprising with this gathering cloud.
2:14 for 4. 53 needed. We're into the last of the 10 overs. Vince leaves that one alone, just outside off stump. Haven't seen Vince leave too many recently.
Second great innings of the season here from Vince at Chelmsford.
It's hit away by Vince, but it's gone quickly to extra cover, and there is no run.
First coming in the T20 group stage. And now he's produced a different sort of innings, but equally valuable.
3 balls left of the full. Yeah, 3 balls left of this over. There's the first of them, cut away by Vince, but it's gone down to the subfielder down deep. Takes the total to 2:16 for 4. Or is it 2:15 for 4? I think it's 2:15 for 4. Yes, it is. 183 now, this partnership.
What really hasn't happened is this pitch deteriorating.
It hasn't, is it? Critchley bowls, Dawson drives. Mid-on's quite deep. They're going to come through for a single. The throw will come at the bowler's end, but Dawson's home, and he doesn't hit the stumps anyway. And Dawson moves on to 94. And the Hampshire total to 2:16 for 4. They need another 51. 1 ball left of the 10th over. Or 10th of the remaining 10 overs, I should say. Critchley again. Into Vince this time. Vince goes for the hook. It's in the air. It's going to be out. It's going to be caught extra cover. And he's gone. Oh, he went for the heave over the leg side. And he got a leading edge. It's ballooned up. And Vince goes. Critchley's got the breakthrough. And Hampshire 2:16 for 5.
It's a long time in coming. But in the end, a miscue from James Vince and well bowled Matt Critchley, who looked as threatening as anyone really. And produced the full shot and got the wicket. 2 batsmen actually still consulting, even though I think Vince is just having a word with Dawson about tactics. But at least that's given a bit of an opening for Essex. It's been a long time in coming. Dan Lawrence made no mistake. 2 6s, 7 4s, 111 balls. James Vince out for 89. It is getting increasingly gloomy here, even with the floodlights on. Look away to the right, and it does look really as though it's starting to threaten the potential of bad light, but who knows what might come in terms of rain or bad light being a problem. There's certainly the threat there with the cloud as it is, but what an innings from James Vince, and what a partnership, which was worth in the end. I think it was 184, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, a brilliant partnership, a record for Hampshire against Essex for the 5th wicket. What a time to get it. Interesting the chat there as Vince walked off with Liam Dawson. I would guess that they've got to go for it now in this situation, having worked so hard to get themselves into this situation. I know Hampshire want to sort of finish 3rd, and that's probably what they're playing for, and there's a chance they might finish 4th or even 5th, depending on what other sides do. But I think they've got themselves into this position in the game where I think they're going to have to go for it. They've got 5 wickets in hand. They need 51. And I'm sure that conversation was something to that effect. I don't think we're going to see Hampshire block things from now on. I'd be very surprised if we do.
Certainly not at this stage. But another wicket for Essex, and it just throws a different dimension into things. That wicket, Vince, was an awful long time coming. Dawson on 94 obviously now becomes very important. We have officially 9 overs minimum remaining. A target of 51. But Dawson is going to be on strike. As Harmer bowls, and just comes forward and plays defensively. Slip, leg slip and short leg in. And short mid wicket. In fact, Cook's gone back to that fly slip position we were talking about. As this one is played by Dawson along the ground into a gap. Nice placement. That possibly could go for 4. It's very, very well placed, but in fact, the fielder's going to get round. Let's see Dav and cut it down to 2. Extremely good placement that from Dawson. It looked like a chance he might get through for a boundary there, but it wasn't to be. Got 2 though. Takes the arse down to below 50. 8 overs and 4 balls to go. 49 to win. 218 for 5. Dawson on 96. And he just plays that one down to short leg. I'll leave the rest of the over with you, with Dawson on 96, Kevin.
Thank you, Nick.
Manages to get another boundary in the over.
Well, I'd like to think so. Or if not this over, maybe the next one. 2 men run the bat on the leg side. Here's Harmer. Bowls. Dawson on the back foot. Turns that between the 2. And we'll pick up a single and moves on to 97. Hampshire 219 for 5. Need another 48. And Ben Brown now. Of course, not just Ben Brown, but the others coming in now. Real pressure on them. Got to try and give Dawson the strike as much as possible, but of course themselves got to find a way just to keep that scoreboard ticking along, because that 48 will still be hard work. But they've done an awful lot of hard work to get themselves in this situation.
The heavy grey cloud is now starting to go actually over the ground, but no rain falling at the moment. A little bit of lighter sky away beyond the pavilion as well. It all depends on whether this produces any rain or not. Just forecast to, so you never know. It might just skirt the ground. Here's Harmer to Brown, and Brown there plays it uppishly, awkwardly, as you might expect a new batsman facing Harmer, even against this older ball. Steers that away for a single, a rather awkward opening run from Ben Brown, but it brings Dawson back on strike.
I'd like to think that he did that deliberately. With a bit of an in-out field, he's lobbed it over the short leg. I'd like to think that.
I think the first spots of rain are just seeing them on the window.
That's driven by Dawson to mid-wicket. Forgot he was facing there for a moment. So we have 8 overs left. Effectively, 48 deliveries, with Hampshire needing 47.
1 or 2 jackets just being put on away to our right. Just keeping an eye out to see whether we are going to get this expected shower or whether it will just skirt the ground. 220 for 5. 8 overs to go. And very, very tense. Essex have just given themselves a little bit of a chance. Remember, if they win, they go within 4 points of Surrey. If they draw, the gap is 11 points. And well, in fact, yeah, it would be. See, Surrey have taken 8 points for their draw, and it would be actually 15 points the gap if there's a draw, and then and they take 11 points from the game, 15 points in the table. So
go on. Critchley bowls to Brown, turns it away behind square leg side, no run.
Yeah, so Surrey at the moment are 20 points clear.
Yeah,
but,
that will be a nightmare for Essex if that's the situation going into next week.
It.
47 off 47. Here's the 47th ball, and he's sweeping. It's outside off stump, and Washington has the bails off, but it's a dot ball.
So with a draw from, if they do get a draw from this game, Essex would take 11 points from the game, and they'd be 15 adrift of Surrey. So 3 better off than they were at the start of the game.
Yeah. Here's Critchley again. Brown sweeps, gets the bat on it this time. It goes to a fielder, but they'll come through for a single. So we have 45 balls left in the game, and 46 runs are needed by Hampshire. Or is it saying 47 actually? So I'll tell a lie.
It's just very light rain, just spitting with rain at the moment.
So Dawson back on strike. He's 97 as Critchley comes in and bowls, goes for the sweep, and it's caught back with a square leg. Now Dawson will stay there waiting for confirmation. The umpire is very close to the fielder there. Dawson just wants to check. I think, unfortunately, the fielder's going to say yes, and I think Dawson's going to have to go, but he's just walking over just to double check. He'll be disappointed, or is he? He's now saying that you've got that wrong, and the umpires are saying so as well, and Dawson is all right.
So the replay, the first replay we can see isn't conclusive, but Yadav has got the ball in his left hand outstretched. It is drizzling. It is drizzling. You can see it against the trees there.
Well, we played in some drizzle over
Yep.
the first couple of days, so I'll be disappointed if we go off with
Depends
this.
if it gets harder. It's okay
Yeah.
at the moment, obviously.
Well, Liam Dawson knew straight away. I was thinking he was just walking over to the fielder to check that he'd caught it, but Dawson was basically saying, no, you haven't, and the umpires agreed. So the fielders get back into position, and it's 220 for 5. Just adds to the drama. That's what we need. Here's Critchley, bowls, Dawson's on the back foot, misses the cut. I think that was the googly there from Critchley. That's another dot ball.
Could get awkward, of course, for the Essex spinners with this rain. It's just light drizzle at the moment, no more than that. It's not the rain that they had at Lord's, but it is raining as forecast.
2 balls left, and then it'll be just 7 overs in the game. Hampshire still need 47, and Dawson at the non-striker's end currently. Actually, no, he's on this end. The scoreboard's got it wrong. Dawson cuts that away, and there's 4 runs, and that is Dawson's 100. And he stands there and celebrates to the Hampshire players away to our right. And that is a magnificent 100 in the circumstances, and a fitting innings for a man who's had a wonderful all-round season for Hampshire. What a knock that has been. 100 off 135 balls with 14 fours.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic innings, and could yet be one that's going to take Hampshire over the line here. It's just light drizzle at the moment. It's not getting any worse, and 1 or 2 upward glances at the clouds. But the good news is that there is a sort of area of blue sky which is now coming in on the back of this very grey cloud. And it might be that we're missing the worst of it. Just light drizzle, which might even be easing off at the moment. So we're left with 7 overs to go, 42 required. And
Run a ball.
Yeah, Brown is on strike on 2 with 2 short legs, and he goes onto the back foot and he tries a swivel pull here, and he comes off the bottom of the bat and goes down to backward short leg, and there's no run.
That is Dawson's 3rd championship 100 of the season, by the way.
You know, it's a very, very good campaign. So Harmer, Essex could do with another wicket, obviously particularly Dawson, but they could just do with another wicket now. He bowls, and that's all awkwardly played by Brown, but he gets it away for a run out towards deep square leg, and will collect a single to bring Dawson back on strike. It just looks as though that rain has just turned out to be a shower. Could have been, looked like it might be a lot worse than that. But at the moment, what rain there is appears to be going around the ground. As Harmer bowls, and there's attempted forcing shot away through the onside by Dawson, but hits the pad and rolls back to Harmer. 6 overs and 3 balls to get 41. Harmer again. He turns at the river end and bowls, and that's just played defensively, pushed up into the offside. There's a possible 2 here, 2 fielders conversion. They're going to come back for the second run. Good placement by Liam Dawson. Gets back for 2, and it's 228 for 5. Dawson 103, Brown on 3. Essex need another wicket quickly. 39 to get, 6 overs and 2 balls. Harmer over the wicket, bowls. It's displayed defensively from the crease up into the onside. And there's no run as it runs out to Tom Wesley. Still plenty of tension. Can Essex produce a couple of tight overs together just to push that asking rate up? Can they deprive Dawson of the strike perhaps? 2 short legs, as this is hit away in the air by Dawson, but safe. It goes on the bounce down to Porter at long leg. They're going to come back for the second run on the throw. 230 for 5. Dawson 105, Brown 3. Need a further 37. And there are 6 overs to go. 37 runs required. It's been a tremendous performance this by Hampshire from 32 for 4. And a brilliant partnership between Vince and Dawson. And it looked like Hampshire were in danger of collapsing. He steadied the ship and more than that. Superb partnership of 184, which stretched over the best part of 40 overs. Vince has gone for 89, but Dawson is still there on 105. It's going to be Critchley to bowl. Apparently the sun has come out at Lord's. Thanks very much for that email. As is a reverse sweep, and it's just going down for a single to Sam Cook. And one more goes to a total 231 for 5. But at the moment, the odds on with that shower having seemingly passed through, it looks like it might have gone around the back of the ground for the main part.
Because there are just 35 balls left in this game, and Hampshire need 36 to win it. They are
And Hampshire certainly favourites at the moment. They just need to find a boundary and over, you feel. 36 required, 5 overs and 5 balls. Critchley bowling from the Hayes close end. Dawson on strike on 105. They have restarted at Lord's, and the Sunshine and Warwickshire look like they're going to, you would have thought, get to their target. They're 25 for 1, which is played defensively. Back down the pitch, and there's no run. They need a further 33, Warwickshire. I'm sure they've got time enough to get those. And that will be a big defeat for Middlesex. It looked like they might just get away with it. That one just played defensively by Dawson up into the offside. They get through for a quick single. So 2 off the over so far. Tight over this from Critchley again. 5 overs and 3 balls to get 35. Warwickshire needing 32 from 5 overs and 4 balls. So with 9 wickets in hand, you'd expect them to get that. That's the only other game going on, which is a sweep. It goes down to deep backward square leg for a single. Brown starting to get himself in, and rotating the strike with Dawson. Collects a single, 5 there. Dawson 106, 233 for 5. 5 overs to go, and 2 balls, 34 required. And Dawson picks this up. It's going away to the boundary, I think, away over deep mid wicket. It's 4 runs. Picked it up on length. Very, very good shot from Liam Dawson, continuing this fantastic innings. He's gone to 110 from 142. It's 237 for 5. 30 required from 5 overs and 1 ball.
Good shot. Good shot, that Liam Dawson. My word. He's inching Hampshire closer here.
Critchley again bowls, and Dawson again goes on the sort of sweep come pull, and it goes down to your Dav at backward square leg, and they get through for 1. But Dawson continuing this tremendous innings. And it is ironic, actually. You know, we mentioned, I think, on the lunch at day 3, Vince and Dawson, with all their experience, giving their wickets away, Kevin, as if they sort of thought, well, we're not going to do that again. And what a performance from both of them. Dawson 111, Brown 5, 29 from 5 overs, 238 for 5.
Yeah, well, Vince was a little bit more carefree in the first innings, wasn't he, really?
You said end of term feel, yes.
Yeah, a little loose. Now, of course, you know, you get to these situations and it kind of galvanises the better players, the players that have been playing a long time, and they get into situations and it actually motivates them. And you could see James Vince was desperate to get Hampshire out of that hole at 32 for 4, and certainly played more than his part. But this man out here has done a wonderful job, but needs to keep going. Sweep shot. It's off the pad, I think. It's going fine, and that will go all the way, I think, to the rope. I don't think Porter's getting there. Is it off the bat? We'll wait for Stephen O'Shaughnessy's signal, and it is 4. It is 4 runs. He's got a little edge off that one. So it is now, what have we got? We've got 29 balls left in this game, and Hampshire need 25. Probably about the best situation they've been in here the whole of the innings. 242 for 5, and Dawson's moving on to 115.
Yeah, desperate for a wicket now, Essex. They've got to break this partnership.
It's Harmer into Dawson. Dawson sweeps again and sweeps well, but it's along the ground straight to the fielder. But it is a single. It'll bring Ben Brown back on strike, and Hampshire move on to 243 for 5. They need 24 from 28.
Yeah, and at the moment, they're sort of getting the runs as and when they need. They're not letting any real pressure build up on them, are they?
2 men round the back for Ben Brown as Harmer comes in again and bowls. Flighted. Brown pushes that out on the offside. They come through for a single. just get the feeling that Harmer doesn't quite have the answers at the moment, because that ball is not behaving the way he would like. It's a lot easier playing him this time around, well, certainly since tee. 23 needed from 27 deliveries. As Harmer comes in and bowls, Dawson cuts that away on the offside. They run the first one quickly. I think there's going to be two. There's a big gap there through the covers. It won't go all the way, but two they settle for, and Dawson moves on to 118. 26 balls remaining and 21 runs required.
This pitch has just done much less with the older ball than Essex would have expected and anticipated. There's no question about that. They would have factored into the declaration it would do a lot more than it has.
Harmer bowls. Dawson, that bounces a bit. Dawson keeps it down well, but only as far as the 45 fielder on the leg side. So that's a dot ball. 25 balls remain and still 21 required. Dawson 118 off 147. His third championship 100 of the season. Faces Harmer again. Harmer's quicker one. It's swept out to the man in the deep. They'll jog through for a single. 20 needed from 24 balls.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous performance this from Hampshire, and as I say, if they can get there, it'd be a very rare win in recent times at Chelmsford, but obviously a very damaging defeat for Essex in terms of potentially winning the championship this year. But yeah, it's been a great innings from Dawson, a great partnership with James Vince. It's a question of whether Essex can wrest anything now from this situation with 4 overs to go and 20 runs to win.
Well, still a little bit to do, but you have to say Hampshire have never looked more like favourites of winning this game than they do at the moment.
No. So here is Critchley bowling from the Hayes close end, and Dawson cuts that one down to short third man, and there's no run. So it's 247 for 5, and we've got now 23 balls to go, and there are 20 runs needed for Hampshire. This is driven away by Dawson, and it's caught. It's caught at short extra by Nick Brown. It's a late twist. Well, something had to happen, and quickly, for Essex, and it duly has. It was a fine catch actually, because that was hit pretty hard and straight into the mid-drift it was going to. He managed to get hands to it. That was a critical thing there, Brown. Hung on to it very well. That's just created a little bit of pressure, and it's removed the main man, Liam Dawson, out, caught by Brown off Critchley for 119. Just changes things slightly. Hampshire remain favourites, but well, what a fantastic innings that has been from Liam Dawson.
Well, he deserves a good hand from this crowd. That is a absolutely cracking innings. 150 balls with 16 fours. Matt Critchley has picked up both James Vince and Liam Dawson, making up for the fact that he dropped James Vince in the deep when Vince was on 16. But it's still in Hampshire's favour here, with 22 balls left and 20 runs needed. There's still batting to come. Keith Barker, who we didn't see in the field this morning when Essex batting for a second time, but he's out here now, and this does turn my attention back to last year, where Hampshire lost this game by 12 runs.
Yes.
And he was trying to hit the big shot and was caught on the boundary. And he's in near the death here as well.
So 20 to win. And 3 overs and 4 balls. So that equates to 22 deliveries. With 4 wickets in hand, but 2 relatively new batsmen at the crease now.
Yeah, they're going to have to go for it, Hampshire. I said earlier when Vince was out, they've got to keep going. And I'm sure the Vince Dawson chat as he walked out was the same, and I think they are deeply committed now. They can't stop now.
That weather threat appears to have gone. Got some blue sky now over the ground, and in fact it looks pretty good. So the light's going to hold looking away over the pavilion. Certainly got very dark for a while, and that cloud did produce some rain, but only a light shower, so it hasn't in any way threatened proceedings here. 247 for 6. 22 balls to go and 20 to win. Here's Critchley bowling to Barker, who goes on the reverse sweep and just plays it down. Doesn't get any timing on that. Just rolls away and gathered in by Rossington. So earlier Surrey drawing with Northants, taking 8 points from that game. Essex will only take 6 if they lose this match. And Barker drives that away down the ground. I think it's safe. It's going up towards long on the bounce. Indeed it is. And there's one run for Keith Barker to get himself off the mark. Leaves us with 20 deliveries and 19 to get.
He's not frightened to hit the ball in the air, Keith Barker, which is always a little bit of a worry.
Yeah. Certainly, I thought the declaration was a pretty fair one.
Well, I think it's proved to be brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, some thinking it might have been over generous, but I can't see it. I mean, I think it just opened the game up and gave Essex a chance of winning it, really. Critchley bowls, and that's cut away off the back foot. Nice looking stroke, away for a single, out towards deep backward point.
I mean, Hampshire have had to play
one more run
exceedingly well to get to this point, and that's a good declaration. You know, you can't legislate for a partnership like that for the 5th wicket.
No.
I mean, that was high class.
249 for 6. It's been a good tight over this from Critchley. 18 to get from 19 balls. And we've got sun now. Sun has fully returned and bathing the ground. Leg slip and a short leg as the reverse sweep. That's a lovely shot, actually. It's going away for 4. Beautifully executed that. And Keith Barker, that was a vintage stroke from him. He's got to the pitch of that and just lapped it away for 4 runs. So that's 250 up. And Hampshire edging their way towards this total.
Well, Barker's one of his shots against the spinner is the reverse sweep. I'm surprised that that's not reinforced down there. 14, it says 14 the board now. I thought it was down to 16.
Yeah.
It is 14, yeah. 14 off 3 overs.
That's it, 253 for 6 with 3 overs to go.
Now, I know on Saturday in the final against Leicestershire, it was Liam Dawson and Keith Barker batting at the end, and they were desperately disappointed that they didn't get the 12 off the last 2 overs. Here's Harmer, Bowles and Brown. Placed that quietly into the ground, and I know they were desperately disappointed they didn't see that home. And well, I know Dawson's just gone, but he's done more than his part, and I'm sure Barker is thinking about that, thinking I will make amends here. As Harmer turns in the evening sunshine, Brown comes down the wicket, gets wrapped on the pad as the ball just turns as it pitches, and we have 16 balls left and 14 are needed. Still nervy here.
Harmer will bowl the last over if it comes to it, I would imagine.
Yeah. Still not job done yet. As Harmer comes in and bowls to Brown. Brown on the back foot gets one that spits a little bit. They're appealing for an LBW. Not out, says umpire Stephen O'Shaughnessy. He's still on his knees there, Harmer.
3 dot balls, just creating a little bit of pressure.
He's asking Stephen O'Shaughnessy what's wrong with that then.
14 required off 15.
It's getting closer again. Hampshire had a little bit of daylight between the runs needed and balls, but it's getting back to a run of ball here. Fly tiered, he goes for the big one here. Brown down towards deep mid wicket. There's nobody there, there's 4. Little short arm jab there from Ben Brown off the front foot, and there is nobody at deep mid wicket.
Yeah, it's a lovely shot. Good placement from Brown. As you say, he's not had the best season in the championship for Hampshire. Well, that was a fine shot. Got to the pitch of it.
Moves on to 11, 257 for 6, 10 needed off 14 deliveries. Still no deep mid wicket as Harmer comes in, quicker one, and Brown hits it in the air slightly on the leg side, but there's nobody there, and that will be a single. And there are now 13 balls left here, and there are 9 runs to get. I think the crowd here are just stunned. I don't think they can quite believe it. They saw Hampshire at 32 for 4 and they thought, well, it'll be all over just after tea. I think some of us thought that. I think even I might have thought that.
Yeah, well, I thought another chance to be round the corner.
Yep.
Say that proved to be wrong, but that's, I think, what most people thought at the time, because simply the way Harmer was bowling, it was creating false shots. We saw, the dismissals of Press, for example. You try the slog sweep, if it doesn't work, you might be out caught in a leg trap. And well, it's been a fantastic performance, obviously mainly from Vince and Dawson, but a brilliant partnership.
So there is nobody on the reverse sweep of Barker, which will be interesting. I'm sure he'll play it, may not this over, but I'm sure he'll play it between now and the end of play. Goes for the cut, and that has not quite pierced the field, but it is a single as it goes out to point. Jamie Porter moves nicely around to his left to pick up. So we have 2 overs left here, and Hampshire need 8, and I hardly need to remind Hampshire fans that it was a very similar occurrence at Trent Bridge on Saturday, and Hampshire somehow managed to not get home. They're in a very similar situation here. I'm sure they do not want to muck this up.
Well, the odds are against it. They've done the hard work, haven't they? And they've actually paced the chase very well. Never really getting to a position where they were put under sustained pressure, which is pretty impressive. Looks like Warwickshire are going to beat Middlesex. But here, the only other game that's still going on. 2:59 for 6, and there are 8 runs to win, 12 balls to go. Essex sticking with the 2 spinners. Bright sunshine now. 2 batsmen consulting.
Yeah, they've got a man out deep for the reverse sweep.
Yeah, in case there's a hit in the air. There's been a fantastic performance by Hampshire, particularly Dawson and Vince. Here is Critchley going round the wicket. He does go on the reverse sweep, Barker, and he's hit it a bit squarer, and Yadav is going to have to chase round to get to that, and he can't quite get there. So just 4 to win, and a good time to hand over to you, Kevin. I mean, this has been a brilliant performance by Hampshire.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, they've just moved Yadav finer for the reverse sweep, and he's hit that square, and he's hit it hard as well. Barker moves on to 10. They made the mistake, Hampshire, of really letting it go down to the last over. I'm not sure they'll let it do here. With 11 balls left, 4 needed. Barker moves on to 10. Critchley round the wicket, bowls. Barker goes for the sweep shot, and that has gone fine. Now, is that going to beat the fielder? Not quite. That was almost to the end of the game, but it's 2 runs. Barker hobbling back there. He's clearly struggling with his leg. That's why he wasn't on the field earlier. That's why you never see too many 2s from him. He just about managed 2. And with 10 balls left, Hampshire need 2, and they are 265 for 6 here. And did you say Warwickshire are just about to win?
I think so. Yes,
They've won.
They're certainly winning.
Barker comes down the wicket, just works that to mid-wicket rather uppishly, but he gets away with it. 9 balls left, 2 to win. I mean, if Warwickshire win, then Hampshire do need to win this just to maintain 3rd place. Otherwise, Warwickshire would go ahead of them. Critchley bowls. Barker comes down the wicket and he's stumped. Comfortable stumping there for Adam Rossington as Barker tried to go for the big shot to win the game, just like he did a year ago. And he hobbles off. He's clearly in problems injury-wise, but he goes for 12. It's 265 for 7 now, and with 8 balls left, Hampshire still need 2 to win.
Yeah, that Warwickshire situation, they need 6 runs, and they've got still just over 2 overs, and they've got 8 wickets in hand, so that is a formality that Warwickshire are going to beat Middlesex and put Middlesex under more pressure down towards the bottom of the table. It's going to be a tight run thing between themselves and Kent going into the last round of games. I think Kent with their draw have just edged ahead of Middlesex, but to say there's nothing between the 2 sides going into the last round. 265 for 7. That wicket you would have thought surely has come too late. Barker, in a way, sort of did the damage, didn't he, with that 4, which was very well placed. He's gone now, coming out, of course, injured. And Felix Organ, well, he has the possibility of winning the game, which he was threatening to do actually last year when he played that dazzling innings and took on Harbour, an even tougher pitch, or rather tougher pitch than this one. And the 2 batsmen consulting, and just the 2 runs needed to win. The gap between Surrey and Essex is going to be 20 points.
Felix Organ, who was out slug sweeping Harmer in the first innings for no score. Matt Critchley has come back well here, taken all 3 of the wickets that have fallen since tea. Vince for 89, Dawson for 119, and now Keith Barker. Critchley has 3 for 48. 2 balls left of the penultimate over in this game. Comes in and bowls to Felix Organ, who cuts to backward a point, and there is no runs. So 7 balls remain, and still 2 runs required here. Field crowding Felix Organ here. 3 men round the bat as he bowls. Organ drives in the air and it's gone out to the covers. 1 bounce. He went for the big one there. He didn't quite get hold of it. And that is a dot ball. So we're going to the last over with Hampshire on 265 for 7, still needing another 2.
Yeah, and Critchley doing all he could there. That was a good over. But there was a decisive boundary in it, of course. I feel that Barker did his bit there. in that brief little appearance. Ben Brown, with all his experiences at the crease on 12. Felix Organ with a non-striker. 2 to win with this final over to be bowled by Harmer, and it will take something very special for Essex to get out of this.
3 for 100 from 24. Simon Harmer, 6 for 149 from 38.5 in the first innings. So he's picked up wickets, but he has conceded a few runs, and I wouldn't say he's looked ineffective since tea, but certainly not the Simon Harmer that is usually bowling at Chelmsford against Hampshire over the years. But Hampshire have a chance of reversing a run of results which have not been kind to them. Essex have won the last 5 matches here in the Championship, some of them by quite considerable margins. Hampshire have a chance to halt that run. 265 for 7. We're into the last 6 balls of the game. Here's Harmer to Brown. Bowls, and Brown comes down the wicket and smashes that over deep mid-wicket. It won't go over the rope. It's fielded in the outfield, and there's the 2 runs that Hampshire need. And Brown, I don't think, could quite believe it. He's just taken his time. Now he realises that they've won the game, and Hampshire on 269 for 7 have won this game by 3 wickets with 5 balls to spare. It's been an enthralling contest. It's one that Essex looked like they were going to win before tea, and then slowly but surely James Vince and Liam Dawson put together that 184-run partnership for the 5th wicket. They got Hampshire back in the game, and in the end they've won an absolute thriller, and they've halted that run of 5 straight wins for Essex here at Chelmsford.
Yeah, brilliant performance by Hampshire, and of course the centrepiece was that partnership between Dawson and Vince. Essex will rue a couple of drop catches, particularly the early chance offered by James Vince. Has to be said, there was a perfect illustration of the point we were making, that as this ball got older, it was going to become more and more difficult to force the pace and get wickets. And the pitch simply didn't deteriorate. Ken Newbury saying on our emails, congratulations to both teams. Thanks very much, Ken. And I know a lot of disappointment and frustration for Essex supporters as to what has happened, but Hampshire had a pretty good day yesterday, and they really brought themselves back into the game. And it was always going to be a delicate balance for Tom Westley to decide exactly how he wanted to go about this, to basically give his side enough time to bowl Hampshire out. But I think what we didn't really appreciate was just quite how difficult it was going to be to take wickets as the ball got older. And Vince and Dawson, with minimum fuss and great professionalism, set about that partnership and just made sure they concentrated and selected their shots appropriately, and they did an absolutely superb job. So the final upshot of the game is that Essex will take 6 points from it. I think Hampshire will take 20.
Yep.
So that's good, because Warwickshire, obviously from the Hampshire point of view, I think have just won. So it means that Hampshire stay ahead of Warwickshire. But yeah, a great day for Hampshire. Great disappointment for the Essex supporters. A gap of 20 points is going to be very, very difficult to overcome in the final round. But it has to be said, the 2nd year in a row we've had a classic match between these 2 sides here at the county ground. Yeah,
we certainly have. Yeah, exciting right to the very end. Hampshire make it move on to 176 the points now, and with Warwickshire winning, they certainly needed that to maintain their 3rd position. Nick, thank you. I've enjoyed it immensely. I know it's easy to say when you've won a thrilling game, but even so, it's always a pleasure coming up here. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you also, Dickie Davis, the last few days.
Yep, and just to sum up, of course, the last round of games of both these sides, Surrey coming to the Aegeus Bowl on Tuesday, and Essex are at Northampton. So we'll look forward to you joining us there for the last game of this 2023 season. But obviously a day of great disappointment this for Essex. They had a chance of getting to within 4 points of Surrey after Northampton's great performance at the Oval over the last few days. It's gone the other way. Hampshire won by 3 wickets, and the gap goes to 20 points going into the last round of the season starting on Tuesday. The groundsmen sweep up and the spectators make their way away. Thanks very much indeed for listening, and enjoy your evening.